didn't quit. You're really like against all odds. You're doing something that no one in the family has done, that none of your friends have done.
I'm just gonna say the thing you're not supposed to say.
Whatever is mine is looking for me.
You have to know what road to take to get to your final destination.
Everything that you ever wanted is on the other side of fear.
Okay. Okay, I didn't know I was muted. Let's get into this. I wasn't expecting to be back so soon, but here we are. I did my live stream yesterday, and I had a lot to say about Ace. I gave Ace a lot of praise. If you watched, I did. I gave Ace a lot of praise. Am I still muted? It's not showing it's muted on my end. Let me double check. Let me see. Am I good? Okay. Just double checking. Let me make sure I'm okay. Oh no, we're good. We're good. Okay. So yeah, I gave Ace a lot of praise in my last live stream. If you watched yesterday's live stream. So I wanted to come back and do a follow-up video. I have sat down and I've already watched this interview because I wanted to see what everyone was talking about. And after watching the full interview, the issue is the shade room. The issue is that Ace gave a non-PR response, and you can tell he doesn't have any PR training. So when he was asked that question, he asked it without giving a PR response. But the shade room, who is really messy on, in my opinion. And the reason is because they created this wild title. Let me pull it up. Because I was just like, why would they do that? They push this narrative. And yes, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because you need to be mindful of supporting Black publications that create negative narratives, especially when it comes to a dark-skinned Black woman and her being seen as desirable in a relationship with a white man. The Shade Room pushing that title. Let me pull it up right here.
You feel like
the way they created this title, and I don't see anyone taking this angle, but yeah, we're going to talk about it because honestly, I feel like they created this negative discourse regarding what was actually said in this interview because I had to go watch it. I'm like, he didn't say the relationship was fake. He just said that, and you could tell that based off of this interview that he hasn't really talked to Nick in months. So then Nick, or another thing too, is not that one. Ace said what he's been saying this entire time. Hold on, let me see. He been saying the same damn thing. No, that title is ridiculous, y'all. And I felt like the Shade Room did that on purpose. Because another thing about the Shade Room too, and you could call me out and say I'm lying, right? But the Shade Room pushed another headline, right? And it had to do with Just Hilarious. Remember that headline? And then they pushing this headline. And then this is how I know the Shade Room is messy as fuck. Because when you watch the full interview, they took the end and put it first, and then they put the segment in which he asked questions about Nicolandria, and they put that and created their own soundbite. That was messy as hell. So people are upset at Ace and everything, and I really hope Olandria went and watched the interview and didn't just go off of what everyone is saying on social media. I hope that she sat down and watched it all the way through. So let's get into this. And I think it's unfair because you got to also understand too that this is Nick's. This is Ace. This is his first solo interview. He has not gone on any other podcast outside of interviews that he was obligated to do in Fiji. He hasn't really sat down and said anything about this season. And in this interview, he made it very clear that the reason for that was because he wanted to address people first. He wanted to address the Islanders first before just running on a podcast and telling his side of the story or telling, everything that went on. I don't think people are really considering how he refrained from speaking and now he's comfortable speaking because he addressed the people that he had issues with regarding this reality show. So he did. He addressed them at the reunion and then he decided to do this sit down interview with Speedy. But what I will say, because I'm gonna keep it real over here, that Ace, my issue with how he decided to handle his truth is like sometimes you got to understand, especially when it comes to the public eye, when it comes to social media and how narratives can easily be spun. You got to be careful about your wording, your word choice, your expressions, your facial expressions and things like that. And I feel like that's where Ace messed up. Because he only said what he's been saying. He only said what we already watched. Because we all watched Nick and Nicolandria lie and say, oh, I don't think there's a spark there. I don't think there's a spark there. But again, the last time Ace and Nick were close was right after the show. They had the Disney outing. And then you could tell there was like a large distance that kind of took place after that. And it's really seeming like him and Nick have some unspoken issues in words that they just have not exchanged with each other. But I believe Ace is being honest because he hasn't spoken to Nick in a while. So at the time when they had this discussion about, where Olandria and them were with their relationship and their connection, I think that Ace was being honest because it was still new. It was still fresh. But they haven't really spoken to each other since that Disney outing. And I do believe that since the Disney outing versus where Nick and Olandria are today, they're in two different spaces within their connection. And when they were still hanging out together, Nick and Ace, their connection was still fresh. And I think that a lot has changed. I don't think Nick and them have really spoken since his trip to Greece with Olandria. So I think there's I don't think people are considering the nuances when it comes to what was actually said in this interview. And I don't think people are considering the time frame in which he's speaking on. I don't think people are considering how things have changed. And he's speaking based off of his experience. And this is the first time that he's speaking on his experience when it comes to this reality show. So I think that, and do I think that there was some shade? I don't know. I think Ace is kind of in a place, and this is what I need people to understand. And I need Black women to put your emotions down for a sec and hear me when I say this, okay? I get that you want to push this Nicolandria thing, but we're not about to sit up here and act like this man on this reality show wasn't moving funny with all the women that he had connections with on the show. Can we be real about that? We're not about to sit up here and try to act and make it seem like he wasn't coming across as an opportunist when he went on that picnic with Sierra when he knew he wasn't really feeling her like that. We're not about to sit up here and act like Nick wasn't being messy in the triangulation that he had with Bella and Sierra. We're not about to. And listen, my good sis Olandria, she wins with a man and without. That's how I see it. So I think I can hold space for real conversation. I'm not about to be blind just because I want this to work with Nick and Olandria. I do want it to work, but let's be real though. Because we already saw what happened to Janaea, right? We saw what happened to her and Kenny. Can we be real? Can we just be real about it? So no, I feel like Ace, I feel like I don't think he was implying that their relationship was fake. I think he doesn't know how to really read Nick. And the reason he doesn't know how to read Nick is because of his experience with Nick. Okay, me and you were cool. We were tight in the villa. And then you get out the villa and you switch up. But did Nick switch up with Bella? Did Nick switch up with Sierra? And then he switched up with Ace. So it's from Ace's point of view. And that's the thing. Ace's point of view. how is he supposed to like read them? Like, how is he supposed to feel? How is he supposed to feel being that he feels like Nick switched up on him, and then he's like looking at Olandria and he's like, oh, I want to be happy for her, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't think he really knows. And I think his concern is more protective. And I don't think women see it like that. I think women are seeing it like, oh, he's jealous. He's this and he's that. And it took forever for Nick to unfollow Honda Accord. So I mean, let me stop saying Honda Accord because some of my supporters, y'all have Hondas. What can I call her? Can y'all come up with a different name? Hilda, Helen, you know who I'm talking about. So I don't know, like, and then another thing, because honestly, Ace confirmed the things that we were already kind of piecing together with Nick and him. Because remember the video that I showed y'all yesterday about Nick be out here hanging out with questionable people? Because remember I showed you this video? I said hula hoop.
All the food and stuff. Yeah, I'm not.
Like, let's be real though. Do you think Ace would fit in this space with these guys? Is Nick really in good company? Do you feel comfortable with Nick being in a real serious relationship with Olandria and him still hanging out with men like that? I'm just asking. That's what I want to know. I just want to know. Do you because I'm not gonna lie. Like when I saw this, I instantly thought, okay, Nick, you need to get away from them. And I'm not saying this like he should just go be cool with Ace. I'm saying like, no, you need to get away from them. Like you, Brian, all of them. I don't think any of them are like really serious at all. I don't. And I think sometimes when it comes to Nick that he gets distracted by things that are fun, right? New, different. He likes to be out there and having fun. I don't see anything wrong with that, but like you're moving into this public relationship. You're in this public relationship, this public connection. Let me rephrase that. You're in this public connection with Olandria. It's going to require you to move a certain way. You can't hang out with everybody. You just can't. You just cannot hang out with everyone. So I find it kind of weird. And I already know the reason why Ace is not hanging out with them. And you see how they treat Nick. Ace would never go for something like this. So I feel like Nick can be in better company. But a lot of people are saying that they think the animosity is because they thought a lot of people are making the opinion that Ace wanted Nick to choose his side. And that may be true. That may be why he was being a little I say indifferent, disappointed, irritable when the conversation was brought up about Nick. It's because I mean, he did choose the Casa Boys. That's what he did. That's who he hanging out with the most. So I don't know. And then I knew something was up when Nick went to go hang out with Taylor. Like, why are you hanging? And that's another thing. Nick be making some weird moves sometimes. You went to go hang out with Taylor? Why? That's weird. First of all, how he did Olandria, it's like, you should be parting ways with him too. Like, why are you going and hanging out with Taylor? But then Taylor and Nick were hanging out, and where was Ace? So I kind of already knew something was up. I already knew. And I get why Ace and Taylor are still friends, but I don't understand why Nick and Taylor are still friends. I don't. I don't know why they're still friends. It's kind of weird to me.
It's not hard, bro. Hard, right? Brian's gonna be running up my check, dude. Chips, but Nick is rich.
That's listen, and this is another thing that I need Black women to understand. Y'all vouch for men that are loose with their energy. Why? Nick to me, and this is me being real as a Nick Olandria Hive member. Because if you go back and you watch some of my other reviews, I'm like, I think I like Nick for her, but like he gonna have to grow up and mature. I literally said that. And this video, I'm sorry, it makes him still, it puts me back to the concerns that I originally had. Like, is Nick mature enough to be in a relationship with Nicolandria? Because he's too loose with his energy, and he's too damn friendly. He too damn friendly. I'm sorry, he too damn friendly. And that's what I didn't understand about why he was still cool with Hilda. So I feel like I don't know, maybe it's because I'm just taking it from a nuance like perspective. Like, I'm really looking at like everyone's point of view, and I'm trying to like piece it all together to make sense. I don't think that Ace was like trying to intentionally bring their relationship down. I think he just answered from an honest place, and I don't think he knows how to really view Nick because of how he moves. And I think he has concerns with that when it comes to Olandria. That's what I think. But okay, so not Nick. Ace said some things, and Ace has been saying the same thing. So let me read this. How? No, he's okay. So it says here, had you noticed chemistry between them before, or did it come as a surprise? And here he's saying again, I knew day one Nick had a little bit of a secret admirer with Olandria, but he had gotten very wrapped up in his connection with Sierra. They reached a point where Casa Amor came and Olandria came, and they were giving it a try, but they had their partner still in the back of their head, so it didn't really work. Now that they're coupled up again, it's more of a clear head going into the experience. So the last conversation they had with Nick was, he said that they have a physical attraction to each other. They have a great friendship, and the romantic side they're still working on and growing to get to that point. And y'all, and this is just me coming from a realistic place, right? Because this show is only a few weeks. They've only been out of the villa for what, maybe a month or so? Has it been a full month? It's been a full month, right? So to be honest, I think that when it came to Olandria last night too, they even mentioned it's like people are like kind of rushing them. And so with the things that Ace said, I don't really feel like it's a bad thing. I feel like it's real. Like, if you're trying to form a real genuine connection, I still see Nick and Olandria in the courtship phase of their connection. I don't see them as boyfriend and girlfriend. And I think that that's another issue when it comes to this conversation. It's like people are expecting them to move according to the media, according to social media, according to brand deals and all of this stuff, or according to their fans. And I feel like, and I saw the interview that Nick and Olandria did this morning. They're wanting to take a step back from the public eye so that they can create like a really solid, genuine connection, and not try to go at the pace of their fans and what everyone is expecting of them. Like, they're really trying to continue to take it at the space that they have been taking it. So when Ace said what he said, I'm listening from the viewpoint of not girlfriend and boyfriend. I'm listening from the point of view of they're courting still. So I'm not expecting for Ace to come on and be like, oh yeah, he's so in love with her and da da da, especially if he hasn't talked to Nick in a while, you know? And so it's just like, I don't know. I don't think people are being like real about the state in which their connection still is in real life, and not according to TikTok edits and clips and all of that. And then I don't think people are considering the fact that Ace has not talked to Nick. And so this is his first sit down interview. He's speaking on his experience. He's speaking from the last time that he spoke to Nick. That's based off of his experience. It may not be the current status of Nick Olandria and their connection, but it may be the truth based off of Ace's point of view when it comes to when he was asked this question, and how he was asked this question, and where he stands with Nick as a friend. So I don't know. Let's see though. Let's see. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of confusion in my opinion. And
you feel like
it really started with the shade room pushing this narrative that their relationship is not real. They never said that they were in a relationship. They have not. They have yet to say that they're actually in a relationship. And a lot of women had an issue with that. A lot of women had an issue with that. Like, why are you not in a relationship with Olandria? Because he's still courting her. They're dating. They're getting to know each other. I'm not understanding that. So, and this is my thing. I would rather Nick be like, no, we're not together and still court her and date her than to be publicly in a relationship with her, all for the sake of, because that's what everybody wants and that's what everyone expects of him. So I like that him and Olandria are still going at this pace and they're not like rushing into anything. And that's what I said last night. I'm like, they got the rest of their life. I don't get it. So they're dating. And at the time that Ace had that conversation with Nick, that's where he was. I think things have changed. We can obviously tell that things have changed. And Nick and Ace haven't had that conversation. So let me pull up this interview. So let me explain what I don't like about the Ace interview. Okay, so I wanted to get that out. The thing that I don't like about the Ace interview was he did not consider how people could twist this, turn this. He didn't consider how this could impact Shelly and Olandria's friendship. He didn't consider how the scrutiny of what he said in this interview and how that would come back on Olandria, how that could even come back on Shelly, how these women are already under attack. And I get it, brother, you want to speak your truth and all of that shit, but you also got to understand the implications that come with you wanting to speak your truth and the people that you love and how it will affect them. He didn't consider that. And see, that's the issue that I have. I'm not about to sit up here and be delusional about Nick. I still have my concerns about him. He's too friendly and he's too loose with his energy. I stand on that. But when it comes to Ace, okay, you can have your personal feelings regarding Nick, but at the end of the day, if you really are protective of Shelly and Olandria and you have so much respect, do you think that this was the best way that you could have handled this situation? I think you could have. I think you could have done a better job. That's my honest opinion. I think you could have done a better job. I felt like this was lazy and I felt like this was ego driven. I don't think it's coming from a place of jealousy. I think it's coming from a place of Ace is disappointed. I feel like Ace feels like he's been played by the producers. I feel like he's disappointed because the way he was treated and the way Shelly was treated, it's like he's in this weird space. And then also he's dealing with a lot. He has anxiety. He is irritable. You can tell like he's sitting on edge. He's agitated a little bit. It is because he is going through a lot. But my issue with Ace is like, do you really think that this was the best that you could have done when addressing the Nicolandria situation after you have seen Olandria go through so much scrutiny? It would have been best for you to just give a PR response. The internet is not always the space and the place for you to just be 100 all the time. It's just not. Because people can take things out of context. People can create their own narratives like the Shade Room. And now there's another hate train that's being kicked up with Olandria and how, oh, this white man don't really like you like that. This white man don't really want you like that. And see, that's the issue that I have with the situation. Do I think that he intentionally did this shit? No, I think he immaturely did this shit. I think he ignorantly did this shit. I don't think he really thought about how this would impact Olandria or Shelly or really himself negatively. I don't think he really thought about that. So another thing I don't think, and I also think that he got too comfortable in this interview. That's what I think. You around Speedy, he got you feeling too comfortable to the point where you forgot how the internet likes to spin narratives, sir. There's a reason why Shelly and Olandria moved the way that they move. But see, you went on Speedy's platform and you got too comfortable, too relaxed. And now look what you have done. Like, you have created a storm. A storm. And you know who's going to be impacted the most? Olandria, Shelly. It just wasn't smart. It wasn't smart. I felt like there was just a better way for him to speak his truth. And he should have handled this differently. I felt like he did good all the way up until the Nicolandria question. And he answered it decently well, but it was the end where he really messed up. And I was just like, so you gonna let people run with that? You don't and I'm just speaking from a PR perspective. Leave no room for people to create narratives because they will. Leave no room. And he left so much room for people to create and spin a narrative. And like I said, I think he got too comfortable in this interview with this Speedy character. So let's see. Let's get into this, because just in case you haven't watched the full interview.
To the bottom of shit around here, so.
I feel like you haven't done an interview yet. Like, I've seen you do like little one-off things, right? Like you did like a Vanity Fair with a bunch of Islanders. You did like some GQ shit. And when you came out to Villa, you and Shelly did like some Zoom stuff.
Yeah.
But you haven't yet like sat down with somebody.
Listen, I know a lot of people are like, oh, he should have left Nick and Olandria out of it. All of the Islanders get asked about other couples, other people. It's a part of their experience. Like, that's what I'm saying, y'all. Like, I'm getting what I get. You're upset, but like, can we put things in context here? He was asked a question because he went on a Love Island reality TV show. All of the people in this experience would get asked questions about other Islanders and couples and things like that. This is actually not the first time he's been asked about Nicolandria. This is like probably the second or third time. I just felt like he was sloppy and he was too comfortable, and he did not think about how he worded things in this interview and how people could take that and spin a negative narrative. And he didn't think about how that could impact Olandria. So I just felt like he got too comfortable with that. But I'm like, everybody is getting asked. Jeremiah was asked, what do you think about Nicolandria? Everyone was asked about their relationship. So it's like the running topic because people don't want to believe in their connection.
Yeah.
And spoke. Why? Why is that the case?
For me, it was important that I didn't do another interview before coming to you. I know a lot of people had a lot to say instead of seeing through a lot for what was showing. You know what I mean? So I really wanted to take my time, come out the Villa, enjoy my time with family because I haven't seen them for a while, spend time with friends, and obviously spend time with Shelly because for me, going on to the show was about finding love, not finding clout. Right. And I feel like a lot of people, when they came out, it was about taking advantage of their 15 minutes of fame. And respectfully, I ain't show up for that.
I like that. I mean, look, I think you were definitely a little more intentional with your rollout post-show, right? Like we.
Another thing too that I peeped in this interview is, and I think this is why like Ace gets labeled like the ringleader, is because he tends to project how he thinks things should be done, how he thinks people should handle things a lot. He does. And so he was like, well, I didn't come on here for that. Okay, you didn't come on here for that, right? But if the opportunity presented itself for the other Islanders, why wouldn't they take that? You already have your fan base. You already got your stuff going on. There's still people out here trying to make a name for themselves. And I'm pretty sure like a lot of people came on the show. It's very obvious that the producers chose influencers, right, to be on the show. Okay, so what that they want to come on and take advantage of this entire experience? I mean, to go under this much scrutiny, you better benefit from all the scrutiny that you're experiencing and that you're going through right now. So one thing I noticed about Ace is like he tends to really project how he expects for other people to handle things based off of how he handles things or how he sees things. And that's another thing that I feel that he's being immature about when it comes to this interview. Like he could have handled this better.
You saw content on your own terms. Like you dropped like a little vlog thing at an amusement park. You dropped like a little freestyle. You dropped, but it was like here and there. Whereas it seemed like a lot of people were on live every night. A lot of people were like on every podcast and excited about it. And so I do respect the way you went about it, and I'm honored that you would come here.
Nah, man, I'm honored, man. Like you've been a real model for me, even just you know before the Villa. I used to watch your content, man, and you really get to the nitty gritty of questions, and I respect your journalism for real.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate those words. Yeah. But now you're here, and now we're about to do it.
Shit, man, let's get into it.
Yeah, let's do it. I think it's funny because you and I knew that we were doing this, but we ran into each other at a concert.
Yeah.
And like somebody, some way, somehow caught a picture of us. Yeah. And then it kind of hit Twitter, and I won't say it went crazy, but you know, it kind of made some rounds. Yeah. Did you see that picture?
Yeah. It's funny because like usually I'm not used to that. Like going to a place and somebody's taking a little sneak picture behind the scenes and stuff like that. But you know, I think it just alluded to the fact that we was gonna be on this couch at some point in time.
And it happened.
Yeah.
They didn't know it was gonna happen. We knew.
Yeah.
But it was just funny, like that it happened in that way.
Yeah.
Before we talk about the show specifically and your time on it, I want to talk about who you are.
Yeah.
So your name is Ace, but you also have your own name tatted on your back.
Yeah.
Like when I was watching the show, I was like, why does he have his own name tatted? What?
Yeah, man. So Ace has always been a lifelong nickname.
Oh, it's a nickname. Okay.
It's a nickname, and my mom was going to name me that at birth. my intentions was to get to know someone through and through for them. I didn't want to ask nobody about no social media aspect of it. And when I felt like going into this villa and people were asking me, yo, what is your following? What's your following this? And what do you think is going to be outside of this? I don't feel people are there for genuine intentions, respectfully. And, you know, coming from the person who has all the things, has the quote unquote, you know, following, has the, you know, I'm doing well for myself. And so I'm not pressed over a prize. But when I'm hearing people in those conversations, it doesn't seem genuine to me, especially when, again, I have those things. So that's not my main focus in this villa.
The reunion
Yeah.
came out.
Y'all, can y'all not do that? Seriously, can we be mature when it comes to this situation? Listen, I get y'all don't like the man. That's fine. But like, can you just take a step back and be mature about the situation? Because now y'all acting like Hilda, because she did the same thing at the reunion the other night. She was like, well, you should just worry about your relationship with Ace. Can people like freely express themselves and like speak their truth? Y'all want people to be authentic. Y'all don't want people to be fake and phony. So let them express themselves. And then your authenticity is you don't gotta agree. But to tell people that they should shut the fuck up and you should worry about this and that when they're just literally speaking on their experience, like that's weird to me. Just say you don't agree. You don't agree. Cool. Cool. That's part of your authenticity. But come on, like Hilda, she did the same thing to Shelly when she was finally speaking out and speaking her truth. Can we not do that? You just don't have to like it though.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
When they see this, it'll probably be 2 days ago. But what are your thoughts on the reunion? Just surface level. Were you excited to go do it? Did you not want to do it? What were your thoughts on how you were portrayed throughout it?
Honestly, I didn't want to do the reunion, you know. But the only thing I wanted to do was, you know, look at people in their face and tell them my issues I have with them, clear some things up, and really stand on business. Throughout the entire time at the reunion, I feel like things still didn't, you know, make the cut of, you know, certain conversations that I had, clarification, and that is what it is. But honestly, bro, just being at the reunion, it was a little bit hard for me because, you know, I face, you know, anxiety, you know, especially being out inside the villa, and, you know, people are like, oh, why is his voice a little shaky? Because honestly, bro, it's hard, like, dealing with it. Like, I felt some sort of depression, like, coming out, because I'm such a positive person. I'm such a happy, you know, loving person that I'm trying to spread that to everybody else, and to see that I was portrayed as something, as the opposite of who I am as a person, is tough to deal with, you know? And that was my only fear going into this villa was, please just don't make me look like I'm just some evil ass nigga, respectfully. And
do you feel like that's exactly what happened?
Honestly, yeah, you know, and it's okay, because at the end of the day, I know who I was, and the Islanders who were there knew who I was too. And then to come home and...
I do have a question. Do y'all think Ace is evil? Put a 1 in the chat if you think he's evil. I think he's immature. Do you think he's evil? I think he's immature. I think he could be a hothead. That's what I think. Is he evil? Put a 1 in the chat if you think he's evil. Put a 2 in the chat if you... Yeah, I think he's young. You know, I think he got a little hot-headed in this interview too, because he's thinking about how the people that he was close to in the villa are just moving different, and he doesn't like that. I think he's more of a hothead. I don't think he's evil though. So let's continue.
And see, I was called everything but the child of God. It's a little tough, you know. Sure. But for me, I said the things I needed to say to certain people while everybody was in one room at the reunion. That's what I cared about. It wasn't for how the reunion was going to be portrayed. Here is where I really get my shit off, and really what I say is what I say, and what I meant is what I meant, and ain't gonna be no chopping screw shit around here.
Well, here's your opportunity to be real. Let's talk about your time in the villa.
Right.
Day one of the show, if I'm remembering correctly, you walk in with Nick. You're wearing a suit, like you was like tailored up. What do you remember about day one walking into the villa? Were you nervous, excited?
Going into this villa, you know, I'm seeing a bunch of beautiful women here. I'm like, okay, you know, these women are here for a reason. I'm here for a reason. Let's truly get to know somebody for them. You know, regardless if 1,000 cameras are looking at us, I want to get to know somebody. So that's what my intent was going into this villa, and really just deep dive into people, because I'm a people person. Like, I love getting to know people and why they were raised the way they were raised, the trauma that they had in 5th grade. I want to know it all.
And so you walk.
And again, like, okay, again, Ace's issue is that he projects on people. He expects for people to conduct themselves, to think like him, to act like him, to behave like him, when it comes to experiences that he shares with other people. And that to me is where he's wrong. Okay. You are you, and then you got to allow other people to be them. And they're not going to always handle things the way that you would handle things. They're not going to always do things the way that you would do things. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're wrong. It just means that that's their way of doing things. And one thing that I noticed about Ace is that he tends to label something bad or wrong when it's not done the way he would have done things or the way that he sees things. And I think that that's where he goes wrong a lot of times. So again, like he's expressing, why he came on the show, and he's expressing, why he decided to do this type of show, this love show. And it was to come on, find love and find a real connection. But it's like, other people can come on the show and have other reasons and still have the same reasons that you have as well, but they may have other things too that they want to accomplish while on the show. So I kind of feel like that's unfair. Like, you got to allow people to be themselves as well, Ace. Like, you want people to accept you for who you are, but you got to accept for other people for who they are as well. And I feel like he doesn't give room for people to kind of like just be themselves. So, and I think that could have been a major reason why Nick and him maybe are not the closest, because, I'm pretty sure he expected Nick to just take his side and be cool with him and like drop the Casa Boys and everything. And Nick didn't do that. He was still being himself, overly friendly. And Ace doesn't like that. And so now Ace doesn't like Nick or isn't close to Nick. So I see a pattern with that. He got to let people be themselves and stop projecting these expectations on other people. You got to let people be who they are.
Walk out, you see Shelly for the very first time.
Yeah.
You guys kind of cleared it up on the reunion, but you guys knew each other kind of in passing. Like, you may have met once or twice, and then exchanged each other on social media, but you never really knew each other for real.
Right. So basically, let me explain the story with that. It's like, we had met through social media type of thing, but don't nobody really know anybody through social media. So boom, she's outside the club. I recognize her from social media. I'm like, yo, what's up? Like, how you feeling? Like, you know what I mean? I'm chopping up with her real quick. And, I got the number, or not the number, but I got the Instagram and shit like that. I was like, yo, nice to meet you. I hope to see you again type of thing. Boom, time goes on. She'll post a picture, I'll slide up on the story with the hard eyes. She'll post something, I'll comment on it, or just to be funny, I'll go comment on something from 2-3 years ago, some shit like that, just to, fake flirt. But obviously it wasn't gonna work. She was in Florida, or New York, whatever she was. I was in LA. It is what it is, So just to walk in there and see her, I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like, we here at the same time. Like, and it's crazy because we done both went through a bunch of interviews. We done went through the Zoom calls, all that shit. Like, being that's the case, I know for a fact when I see her, I was like, oh, I already know the internet gonna have something to say. Like, outside of shit, like, oh, I already follow her. I already know I'm on all of her comments and shit like that. I'm like, I already know how Love Island fans get, like, being super adamant on trying to, FBI some shit, But I was ready for it.
In the beginning, the first couple of days, what did you notice about the interactions that the guys were having with the girls? Were they pulling girls for chats, or was it kind of like reserved? Like, what?
This is the part y'all need to listen to, and I believe him. And the only reason I believe him is because if you've ever gone to a singles and mingles event, ladies, there will be more women there. There will be men there, but the men don't approach you. Make that make sense. Make that make sense. How you go to a singles and mingles event and you don't approach the women at the singles and mingles event? So I believe everything that he's saying, or what he's about to say right here.
What was the energy?
For me, I was in there hoping, respectfully. Like, I was up there putting numbers, getting to know everybody, and the girls were complaining to me. They came up to me talking about something, yo, Ace, the guys ain't pulling us for chats, the guys ain't, stepping it up and shit like that. And that's when I had encouraged all the dudes, like, yo, get to know everybody, explore. Like, the girls are saying, like, y'all ain't doing enough, like, y'all need to step it up. And then, I remember when I was the person to be kissed the most at the first round, they was like, yo, all the fellas was like, yo, Ace, you group leader this, group leader that. And I'm like, yo, chill, you know what I mean? Chill. You feel what I mean? It's like, okay, I understand the whole group leadership, but it's like, it's not that. Like, I want everybody to get this full experience throughout this, entire time in the villa. So when the girls told me that, that's when I, implemented the whole explore thing and get everybody going.
Gotcha. So it's really thanks to you that, like, the men started kind of getting in there with the ladies.
Yeah.
Before that, it was interesting.
Yeah.
And I believe it. Girl, I wish my friend was here. She would be able to tell you too. It's really like that. Men don't know how to approach you at events. Like, just walk up, say hello, how are you doing? Another thing that I noticed too, especially out here in Houston, if you're a woman that doesn't drink, they don't know how to hold a conversation with you. Because a lot of men lead with, hey, let me buy you a drink. Let me get you a drink. And if you don't drink, They don't know how to interact. So it's believable. I believe it.
So then you couple up with Amaya. One of the first conversations you have after that is like, hey, just to let you know, transparently, I'm still going to explore my other connections. I encourage you to do the same.
Yeah.
Amaya's initial reaction was like, yo, you could have said that to me tomorrow. It's giving player vibes.
Yeah.
What did you feel when she said that?
First things first, let me just say I love Amaya, and I see that she wears her emotions on her sleeve. What a lot of people didn't get to see within our very first conversation, she had expressed some of the traumatic experiences she's dealt with in relationships. And of course I want to be there for her and lend my shoulder to her to, cry. Obviously she's a sensitive gangster and everybody loves her being a sensitive gangster, but it's a lot for me to take on at once because at the end of the day, I'm still trying to find love. I'm still trying to find a romantic partner. And I'm looking at a person who's going through the healing process of putting herself out there as well. So being that that's the case, I just wanted to make things clear to her because we're about to sleep in a bed together, respectfully.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, Love Island is Love Island, but to me, I'm gonna be ace until the day I die. So I don't care if we on Love Island. I want to make sure ground rules are set so that way you don't cross a boundary and I don't cross your boundary, so we don't even go down that route. And what they didn't get to see is the conversation that we talked about regarding those traumatic experiences. Every time she's cried through our conversations, they copied and pasted the clip of her crying to me telling her about my boundaries. It wasn't about the conversation that we did have. And it sucks that people didn't get to see that because, I really was trying to get to understand where she was coming from. And, for me, opening up is hard. And so I wanted to, express how the emotional trauma I went through, you know what I mean? But it takes me a little bit to get there.
Sure.
So that was the whole thing regarding that.
You said, you kind of didn't feel comfortable with her calling you babe in affectionate terms like that so early. Were you the only one in the villa that had concerns about her using those terms of endearment, or maybe did other people in the villa also feel the same?
Regarding the terms of endearment thing, I grew up in LA, so everybody, calls each other babe or what's up, and half of my family is Mexican, so like I grew up in Latin culture, so the whole idea of babe wasn't a problem for me. I feel like it was her trying to mark territory at that moment in time to be like, oh, this is my babe type of thing. So
And now that we know how Amaya is, I believe that as well. I believe that as well, but let's continue.
Like I'm able to tell the difference. I feel like with other people, they felt the exact same way, that she was coming on a little bit strong amongst getting to know her. And for me, I was very apparent on making it clear to her, this is my boundary and this is how I feel. Other people didn't do the same.
Got it.
And
So
that's
they may
why
have felt the same, but they just didn't
voice that. You know what I mean? And to me, I feel like that's fake as hell. Like if you gonna feel some type of way, you gonna tell all the fellas that you're not feeling this and you're not rocking with this and this is just not your cup of tea, but she's out here trying to put her best foot forward and get to know you and you're not doing the same. I can't respect that, you know what I mean? So I love Amaya and all power to her for pushing through amongst all the relationships that she's explored throughout the villa. It's just, it sucks that, dudes don't have the heart to just be honest with a woman,
Sure.
you know?
It seemed on the show, and you kind of addressed it, that one of the people that you felt was like that was Austin.
For sure.
That like he would express to the fellas like, yo, I'm not really rocking with her like that.
Yeah.
But then to her, wouldn't hold that same energy. Is that the
Yeah,
case?
like, see, my issue with Austin is like, he doesn't just be real about his answers and what he's feeling. And for me, as a man, I can respect that. And it's funny because,
And we all saw that. We saw how Austin was saying one thing to Amaya and then was saying another thing to the guys. And I was just like, that's when I started looking at Austin sideways. I was just like, oh, so you one of them. You got this woman over here believing that it's something more when you feel the opposite of that. And you sat there and you told her and you have convinced her that it is something more when it's really not. So I had lost a lot of respect for Austin too. So I see where he's coming from on that too.
people are like, yo, Ace, do you have beef with Austin, yada, yada, yada. In the villa, it wasn't no quote unquote beef, because after every interaction that we would have and it wasn't a positive one, he would come up to me, yo, I just want to say, bro, I respect you, we all good, like, it's never that deep, it's never yada, yada, yada. But then, you sneak dissing on the internet, like a bitch, like that shit is, that's not me. I'm not an internet ass nigga. I'm not gonna go back and forth with you on the internet. So I'm gonna see you in person and let's see if you keep the same energy. At the reunion, it was not the same energy.
Did you see?
People were saying that, oh, we haven't seen him be a hothead. No, he was being a hothead in this interview. He was in a very subtle way, but yeah, hotheads are not always physical. They're not. It's just it's sometimes hotheads. It's like their demeanor. Like you could tell they getting hot over there. Like you could tell he hot in that seat. He hot. He's getting a little hothead here because there's some emotions that are behind it. I feel like it's because of all of the scrutiny that he has also faced, and so I don't know. It's like everyone can look at Ace and call out all the negative things about him, but it's like, how are y'all overlooking how Austin moved with Amaya? Like that's crazy. So let's continue.
some like sneak comments on the internet?
Yeah.
Was he saying things or what was the
Yeah, and even at the villa, like it would be a conversation, and it's the most funniest thing in the world. Like we go back and forth, and he's talking about some, yo, Ace, how do you feel? So and so's coming back, and he's 6'8", he's 6'5", or yada yada yada. So that's when the whole stand on business comment. We had talked earlier in that day about the whole height thing, and that's when I told him, I was like, yo, like you 6'5" and I'm 5'10". How you just don't have the big enough heart to just say what you want to say? Like,
so that's what, so there was, okay, because that, and we'll talk about that moment later, but that's a prime example of a moment to me feeling like, why is Ace talking about his height right now? Is he trying to like, maybe he's insecure about his height, or is he asserting some sort of dominance? It felt like out the blue, you say, I'm 5'10".
Right,
So like,
nah,
but there was some context behind it.
It was some context behind that. You know what I mean? And again, not everything gets shown. Why everything don't get shown? I don't understand, but you know, that's TV at the end of the day.
Yeah. Okay, we'll talk more about the stand-up business challenge in a bit, but I want to finish up with the Amaya stuff for a sec.
Yeah.
People honestly felt like you bullied Amaya. When you came out of the villa and saw that, also having gone through the interactions that you went with her in real life, was it weird to you to feel like, wait, bullying her, like that didn't match up at all to what our actual experience was? Or do you feel like you were bullying her?
See, coming out the villa and watching the show for the very first time, I can see how that can get misconstrued of me being bullying. But if you watch it for actually what it is, I never once raised my voice with Amaya. I was very clear and concise on how I was feeling. And me just stating my boundary, I don't see how that can be taken as me bullying. Now, quote unquote, I've seen some of the clips to where they're taking out of context and copy and pasting into different parts to where it can make it seem like I'm talking about her. That's not the case. Like, and I've been very clear with Amaya, and it sucks that people didn't get to see a friendship that we built, because after maybe about 6-7 days after the whole babe incident, we were cool. Like, we didn't both apologize to each other and both said, look, I'm sorry for the way I came off because this wasn't my intent. She was like, look, I'm sorry for the way this came off because that wasn't my intent. When we were able to build up a great friendship and to come out the villa and see her, you know, taking part of, you know, pushing the narrative that we weren't cool, or like, you know, taking part of the quote unquote bullying, like, don't get me wrong, I don't like to go back and forth with women. Like, that's, for me, that's sassy as hell. But I will state my piece, you know what I mean, at the end of the day, you know? And being that I seen that video, I was just like, yo, I just seen you the day prior to you making this video, and it was cool, like, it was no problems. So just to come out and see that, it hurt my feelings, because, you know, I look at her as like a sister, and we're neutral now, like, there's no beef, and it's still never gonna be no beef.
So when Ace said that hurt my feelings, and you'll hear him say throughout this interview that his feelings were hurt, okay? So again, like, I think his emotions were driving this interview, and I don't think that he really considered the implications of how this would affect Shelly. Like, and I need people to understand that when you get into a relationship, it don't even have to be public in the way that Ace and Shelly's relationship is public, but you got to understand that when you are in that relationship with that person, what affects you affects them. What affects them affects you. So when you're out here conducting yourself in interviews or just out here in the public, you have to understand that how you handle things, how you say things, what you say in the way that you say it, you have to understand that because you're an extension of them, it's going to impact them, whether it's positive, negative, or indifferent. And that's the issue that I have with Ace. It's like he really allowed his emotions to drive him through this interview, and he didn't consider Shelly at all. He didn't even consider their friendship. And that's what I don't like. That's what I don't respect. So now it puts Shelly and Ace in a weird, it puts Shelly and Olandria in a weird place within their friendship. And he didn't really consider that at all. Okay, it's cool. You're not cool with Nick, but like, Shelly is still cool with Olandria. Like, what are we doing? So that's what I don't that's the part that I don't respect. It's that right there. It's, to me, that's the meat and the potatoes of what I don't like and what I 1,000% don't agree with. Let's continue.
From my end, and I know it's not on her end because we chopped it up already, but it just hurt my feelings just to see that, you know?
As the story goes, you guys have this pucker or pie challenge.
Yeah.
Sierra, I thought was interesting, was asked, like, who is here for clout over love? And she said, Ace.
That's rich coming from her, respectfully.
Why do you say that?
Because it's like, I feel like ever since she came out the villa, it's always been a quick little chirp of having to say something and, you know, speak on other people's relationships and speak on other people's situations, you know, coming out. And I get it, like, the way she was dragged out is not the happy fairy tale ending that she wanted throughout this whole entire experience, so I can sympathize with that. But it's like, for you to say, I came in there for clout, respectfully, you didn't know who I was, like, before coming into this. Like, I've been on, you know, TV shows before. I've been on Jennifer Hudson. I've been on Good Morning America. I've been on, like, Everybody Scream before. So I had all that shit. So for you to say, you know, Ace is looking for clout, you know, honestly, that just speaks to my character being in there, because not once did I mention what I had before the villa. So for you to just think I was there to up my following another million on top of the million I already had, cool.
Did you get any inclination at that time that maybe she was in there for clout over love?
For me, I didn't spend time with her like that.
No, I do feel like it's ironic because like Sierra, technically he had a bigger following than you, technically. But then Sierra, the way you be moving out here with your little TikTok videos and your little captions on your TikTok videos and stuff, that's interesting coming from you. I think that's what he's implying here with that.
Every single day. But I did feel like, you know, when she spoke, it was just very, I don't want to say rehearsed, but it's just, that's what it was to me. And, you know, and I knew she was, you know, really feeling Nick, and I know Nick was feeling her, and all I could do was just support that. But for me, it wasn't that.
A lot of other Islanders have expressed that they felt like her maybe pattern of speech or the things she was saying was like kind of pre-rehearsed or calculated.
Yeah, PR.
So it's interesting to hear.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel like that. But again, that could just be her personality, and, you know, I can't even fault her for that. But to me, it's just not my cup of tea.
In that same challenge, I believe, Huda was asked which one of the Islanders is like waiting for someone else to come in, and she said you.
That's another thing is everyone keeps focusing on Olandria, and I know why I'm focused on Olandria because, well, they're sisters, they're soul sisters, but he just threw Sierra under the bus. So Shelly is cool with Sierra, and see, this is why I said he was emotionally driven, and he's showing his emotional immaturity as a 22-year-old in this interview because, again, like I said, when you're in a relationship with someone, you have to understand that you are an extension of them. And so now, again, you've put Shelly in a weird spot with Sierra, now with Olandria. And I get it. A lot of people don't really care for Sierra. But again, it's not really about Sierra. And I can even take it a step further. When it comes to Ace, it's not really about Olandria. It's really about Shelly. Like, do you not care how this is going to impact Shelly at all when it comes to the relationships that she's formed with these women? He too emotional. That's why I was like, sir, you probably should have, I don't know what it was, but you probably should have taken a step back and reconsidered some of your opinions and things that you had to say in this interview.
Yeah. Essentially, she told you one story.
Yeah.
She told Amaya another story.
Yeah.
Did you find that Huda was dishonest throughout her time in the villa?
Oh no, that was on brand for sure. Like when that came to be, I'm just like, okay, like it is what it is. And it wasn't just me feeling like that. And I hate that it's gonna be the, you know, Ace was talking about that girl. I don't want to say the name respectfully, but like, you know, it's never been that with her. Like, I feel like I've never gotten an honest answer out of her when it comes to a lot of shit. And I feel like a lot of sneak comments being made, I wasn't fucking with. So at the moment, what you're talking about with the pie or cream or whatever, that was crazy. That was crazy.
Pucker or pie?
Pucker or pie, whatever. When it came to the pucker or pie situation, I feel like when she was making this little slick comments the night before about, yo, Ace, I know you don't like to be touched, so give me a high five, like right before bed, knowing that me and Amaya have been arguing all day, it's not adding, you know, any type of help to the situation that I got going on right now. So boom, with her, you know, making that comment of, you know, it was I'd rather kiss you than Amaya and all that, respectfully, it's like that ship has already been sailed. I've been over that whole situation. So the fact that you're still trying to insert yourself in everybody else's issues is pissing me off. You know what I mean? Like even Austin had felt some type of way because Huda had took his words about Shelly and transformed it into something else than it was. And it's been multiple occurrences with that. And you just gotta take that on the chin and just watch back the tapes.
People felt like Taylor led Olandria on. As someone who was there for.
Yeah, is the video really that low? It's all the way up. Everything's up. Let me know. Is the audio good for other people? Like, y'all, when I was 23 years old, I was very immature. Okay. So I don't know. I just felt like it's a little low for y'all. I don't know what it could be. I haven't done anything. I just feel like he could have used some PR training. But another thing that I noticed, okay, let me look. I don't know why what that could be. Maybe I should take off the echo. If I take off the echo, then you're gonna hear an echo now. So I took the echo cancellation. I removed it. my thing is like Ace again being immature. He's priding himself on not giving these PR opinions, but it's like, sir, you should get some PR training, because the way social media is gonna take it, it's like you have to understand how that's gonna impact you publicly, your family, because he talks about how his family was getting attacked, and then it's also gonna impact Shelly. So let's continue.
Firsthand, did you feel that same sentiment? My dog's squirming. What's that? Shit. See, the thing is with that situation is, Taylor had faced a lot of influences to have to be in that situation since day one. So I could understand where he was, coming from. As far as Alandria, that's my dog, and I definitely can feel for her, and I understand where she was coming from. And I always found myself having to, help out Taylor when it comes to like putting his best foot forward to try and get to know Alandria in different ways. And as far as Alandria, I understood everything she said. She was valid fulfilling everything that she felt in that villa. And for me, I was stuck between a rock and a hard place trying to help out both of my closest friends at the time. So,
if I'm understanding correctly, Alandria is your good friend. Taylor's also your good friend. You know how much Alandria is interested in Taylor, and you know how much something or someone or whatever is influencing Taylor to want to be with Alandria. Am I interpreting that correctly?
Yeah, definitely. And I know Alandria definitely really was trying to get to know someone for them, and it sucks that she had to deal with that and get the shit in the stick of that whole entire equation. But again, Taylor had reached some influences amongst that situation to where he had no other choice.
Did other people, or were other people aware of those influences, or kind of were you only aware of it because he told you? Like, did Alandria know about those influences?
Alandria didn't know about those influences, and it sucks because I couldn't tell Alandria about those influences, at that moment in time, because it's just the way the world, spans.
It may feel like I'm jumping around a bit, but I'm honestly just going chronologically.
Yeah.
That's how I see things more.
I think when he keeps mentioning influences, I think it's the producers, and we all had suspicion about the producers influencing the Islanders making certain choices and decisions, like keeping certain casts, keeping certain cast members, the way they voted when it came to Helda. So I believe him on that. So I think there were, and you got to understand, they would keep the Islanders isolated from each other until they were ready for them to have on-screen conversations. So if I'm isolating this cast member as a producer and I'm in their ear, like, persuading them to make certain choices and decisions, and I'm keeping them isolated away from the other cast members as I'm doing that, and then I'm letting them go back on screen to have certain conversations, I am playing a role in their choices and in decision making. And then I can see the producers also, the influences, I can see the producers isolating each cast member and persuading them to make certain choices and decisions so that the production can create a certain storyline. I can see that. I can see that. I can also see like a therapist being on the show and being on set and also like helping them work through certain feelings and emotions and decisions and choices, but also like the producers being in the back kind of narrating certain things as well. I can see it. I can see it. I can see it.
Better visually, in order.
Yeah.
So Huda pulled you for a chat after something transpired, and she then divulged to you that she was a mother.
Yeah.
Did you know that she was a mom prior to that?
No. Right.
Okay, because some people felt like, oh, maybe he knew already that she had.
My whole thing is with that is like, when you keep reiterating to everybody like, I'm a mom, I'm like, women have babies every day. My mom is a single mom, so I can very much understand where you're coming from. But to me, you came in here knowing you had a kid. Like, that it wasn't as big of a secret as I think it should have been made out to be. Like if you have a kid, like you stand on 10 toes, like I have a kid. If you don't like it, get on. Like people do it every day. And for me, that was the big thing when she told me that right then and there. I'm like, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but and it's hard to date as a single mom, and I completely get that. I watched my mom date like growing up. Like it's a really hard thing to do, especially when you got two sons. Like. That's some hard shit right there. Like I can imagine for a man coming in and seeing her two snotty ass kids having something to say about everything. So I get the whole gist of it. But for me, I feel like at that moment in time, it should have been a matter of like, yes, I have a kid, and if anybody don't like it, get on. And I would have gave him way more respect for that aspect of it, but I couldn't understand it.
Huda was then on the chopping block. It was between her and Jalen to get sent home.
Yeah.
it was a Jalen and Huda elimination after like that open door challenge.
Yeah.
And then you guys were then told to stand behind the islander that you wanted to save.
Yeah.
Some people stood behind Jalen.
Yeah.
You stood behind Huda.
Yeah.
And Huda looked like she appreciated the fact that you stood behind her.
Yeah.
Reached her arm out to like thank you, and you kind of just looked at the hand and shook it off.
And said, hell no.
What happened there?
First things first, a lot of people were under the impression that it was me standing behind Huda because Shelly was cool with Huda, and that's why I wanted to go. It was not that. I can guarantee you it wasn't that. Again, a lot of influences play on, you know, Islanders being voted off, you know, a lot of influences.
I also think like there could have been alliances that were made, but these alliances could have been orchestrated by the producers. I can see that. I can see that. I can see that. I can see that. I can see it's a reality show. It's a reality show. So I don't know. Someone said Jalen. It's a possibility. It's a possibility. It's a possibility for sure. So, and then like think about it though. The reason why I say like alliances or the producers may have had their hands in it is because one thing that I noticed about the bombshells when they would come in, they knew who to target. How do you know who to target if you haven't been told, coached? I get they watch the show, but even if I'm watching the show, right, I'm not going to automatically just want to date, you know, who is quote unquote in this strong connection with this other person. I'm going to want to date who I'm the most attracted to. But I do find it interesting that how the bombshells would enter the villa, that they always knew who to, like, what connection to go after. Remember when Amaya went after Helda and Jeremiah? And now that we know, like, Amaya, I think she probably would have been more interested in Ace, like conveniently just coming in. So she was actually going after Jeremiah at first, and then she switched to Ace. So I don't know. I think there is a lot of moving pieces that happen behind the scenes that we don't get to see.
If I had my way, I would definitely pick Jalen to stay.
If what I'm understanding is, if there weren't these influences, you would have voted for Jalen to stay instead of Huda to stay. Was there not a world in which you could have said, I'm doing what I want to do?
You know, that's a tricky subject right there, you know. You can stand on business about certain shit and you not really standing on business at the end of the day because, again, a lot of things you don't have, you know, a big hand on the steering wheel, you know,
So whose hand is on the steering wheel?
My conscience.
Your conscience has a hand on the steering wheel.
Uh-huh.
Okay. When you say your conscience, what does that mean, your conscience? Okay. So how many of the decisions are led by your conscience as opposed to by Ace?
Oh, a lot of decisions. I feel like about majority of every time an Islander is being sent home or being voted off.
Did other people have a conscience in the villa?
Oh, a whole lot of people had a conscience in the villa. I feel like everybody got consciences in the villa.
I have a conscience.
Yeah.
Everyone on the production team has a conscience?
Man, people watching this got a conscience.
Why did you, though, not want to shake her hand?
Because I wanted to make it clear to her it wasn't about her in that moment. Like, it wasn't my choice to, you know, really stand behind you and have your back because, again, it wasn't about you. For me, it was a point to make it that this decision is not about you, and I don't want you to feel any type of, you know, like, oh yeah, Ace is
like
on my
optimism
side.
about
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
You want it to be clear, like, yo.
So what I'm gathering is that production told him to stand behind Helda. And Ace didn't want to, but that's what production told him to do. And so Helda thought it was him choosing to do that on his own terms when really it was production. So when I remember this scene when Helda reached out to be like, you know, touch him, like, thank you. He was like, he like shoved her hand away. So Ace didn't want to stand behind Helda. He wanted to stand behind Jalen. But see, the thing that I'm having a hard time believing is that you really was gonna stand behind. I mean, you weren't going to. No, you were gonna stand behind Jalen. But then, what about Taylor? What about Taylor? I thought he stood behind Helda because of Taylor, not because of production, but he's saying it's because of production. He's saying he would have stood behind Jalen. And I'm like, really? Interesting.
It's not what it looks like.
At all. And I feel like the day after she was, screaming and cursing, calling everybody else out their name and stuff, or calling Jeremiah out his name, that's the moment in time where I was like, I don't feel this behavior should be rewarded. But
I see.
Again.
So lastly though, on the conscious thing, is it difficult, like, okay, from what I've gleaned about you and your persona on the show, you're like a man who's like confident and stands firm on what he believes. Is it tough for you to have to kind of choose between your conscience and who you are and what you actually want to do as a person? Did that get frustrating for you?
It does. It definitely is frustrating because, as a man, I feel like all you have is your word, and what you are saying to people matters. And for me, that was what I battled with throughout this entire season. I'd stand on business about how I'm feeling about certain things. I call shit like it is. I never played, two sides of the fence. Like, I try and see things from both perspectives, but I just give my opinion when it's asked of me to give my opinion. And when I do, I'm not gonna shy away from it. And it gets tough because, influences try and persuade you out of how you are feeling to, try and cater to certain things and certain people and certain things like that. But it's not as easy as people make it out to be.
When an Islander is getting voted off and the decision is up to their fellow Islanders, can you kind of walk me through how that goes?
Yeah, so are you speaking in specific to a certain?
Well, yes, but before I ask that, I want to know the context of they say, all right, the decision, one of these Islanders is going home and it's up to you.
Yeah.
Is what we see, that deliberation, is that how it happens?
Right then and there, no. That's not how it happens, but again,
So it's more to the deliberation than just what we're seeing.
Yeah, it's way more. That for me, this is the most.
I'm not gonna lie, y'all. This part is a little frustrating because you can tell he can't say everything, and I don't know if it's because he signed a contract I don't know what the contract looks like, but it's very clear that he's intentionally tiptoeing around certain things, so it's kind of hard to really gather what he's putting down. But what I will say, just based off of how he's tiptoeing around certain questions, it really gives the production was heavily involved in this season. That, like, we can all agree that production was heavily creating certain narratives and spinning certain narratives. Because remember, this season, it just seemed like the editing was really choppy. And I've watched other reality shows. I haven't watched Love Island before, but I just thought like it was wild how the editing was just super, super choppy to the point where it was so obvious. So with Ace saying these things and tiptoeing around certain things, it just gives that like production was heavily involved this season of Love Island. I don't know if they've ever been this heavily involved in prior seasons, but that to me is what he's confirming for me. And that's what it gave. Like, the conversation between Helda and Shelly was chopped down to 20 seconds. And I'm not exaggerating. 20 seconds. And they had several conversations, multiple conversations on different occasions, not just that conversation. And so all of that is missing. And I think that is important to add because it would have made more sense about why, they weren't really seeing eye to eye. But if anything, they fed more into the drama by leaving certain things out. So I felt like it was intentional. So I believe Ace is not he's not saying things in this way because he's lying or he's being deceiving or anything. I just feel like he can't really disclose everything. And it may be because he's still under contract or some type of NDA or something like that. But I mean, just based off of how he's tiptoeing around, like I said, like I felt like this season, it was very obvious just by the editing alone. It was just very obvious.
Most frustrating part about it is the fact of it's a lot more that goes down amongst picking an Islander to go home that people are ever going to get to see and get to witness. And that's the tough thing about it. Like, people think it's just made right there in that moment and we took 2 minutes to talk about it and get somebody home. It's way more than that. Again, this is television at the end of the day, but it is what it is, and I'm able to take it on the chin and be the main person for someone to go home. Cool. I'll be able to handle that.
So we see maybe like 2 minutes of deliberation.
Yeah.
How long are you guys actually deliberating for?
Anywhere from it could be from around 30 minutes to an hour.
Really?
Of us just going back and forth, just
trying to chop it up and figure it out. So that brings me to an elimination, and from an honest perspective, it was one of the main criticisms I had of you this season, and that's when Jeremiah got dumped.
Yeah.
I felt like there were other Islanders there, particularly Austin, who maybe had no motion in the villa at the time, who could have very easily gotten voted home instead of Jeremiah.
Yeah.
At the reunion, they showed a clip that kind of showed you still doubling down on the fact that Jeremiah should be the one to go home, and Nick being the one to be like, hey, I think Austin should go home.
Right.
Is what we saw actually how it transpired?
No, not at all. Even at the reunion, they didn't show this. I don't understand why they didn't show it, but you know, again, that's how the world works. But I had said this is not the full clip. You guys are starting this clip at, oh, I think we should send Jeremiah home. We went through the pros and cons of every person, all of us. I said the pros to Pepe Stan. I don't feel he did this, but I feel like he has more pros than cons. Keep Pepe. Went through the cons of Austin. He hasn't did this, he hasn't did that, but I also feel like he hasn't got a chance to get this and get that. Then we went to Jeremiah. After doing all of those things, then they started the clip of, I think we should take Jeremiah home. So it sucks that the whole
That's crazy, y'all. This is why this will be my last open and close. You don't gotta worry about me. I will not be watching Love Island again because that's ridiculous. And then it just seems very intentional that the black cast members, they got certain edits that the other cast members got, like certain type of edits that fit certain type of stereotypes. Like it made them look better and then it made us look worse, and so it just feeds into this negative stereotype regarding black people. So this be my last time, like, y'all don't gotta worry about me. I won't be talking about this shit anymore because it just seems like, and it's very intentional. It's very intentional and they feed into it. So honestly, I don't want to see black people on Love Island again because it's like you're not gonna get what you give. Like you're not gonna get what you give. You're gonna get what they want to give you, and I don't like that.
A full picture didn't get painted right then and there because again, the reunion is supposed to clear things up. When things aren't being cleared up, that makes me feel some type of way. But regarding the sending home of Jeremiah, a lot of influences are to play, and
Some consciousness.
my conscience, my conscience, steps in. But I was man enough to admit to Jeremiah, like, look, bro, I apologize because again, it's not personal, and I'm trying to get him to understand it's not personal. And we were able to have that conversation of us clearing things up regarding how he got sent home and the differences that we had throughout the season. And we understood where we were both coming from. And actually, me and Jeremiah are super cool. And I hope to do a stream with him. We were just talking about it last night. Like, yo, we're gonna do some shit, or we can go hoop, we can go do whatever. Like, we're super cool now to where we can understand where we're coming from. But I really wanted him to understand that and that experience, that it wasn't an easy decision to just be like, send him home, or I'm hating on what he got going on. Mm-hmm. It's never been that, trust me.
When I was watching it in real time, I was like, damn, this is some hating shit. Like, they trying to get Jeremiah out the paint because he got motion.
I felt like a hater, and I even said that, and was like, look, this feels like some hating ass shit, like, respectfully. Yeah, it's television.
But the fact that you said it was some hater ass shit, I'm glad you acknowledged it.
No, I know it.
Watching it, I'm like, this is some hater
Watching
shit.
it and going through it felt like some hater ass shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
The deliberation on whether or not to send Jeremiah home was between you, Taylor, and
So he admits that he was hating on Jeremiah. That's what he just said. Do I need to go back? That's what he just said. He said he was basically hating on Jeremiah.
and Nick.
Yeah.
At the time, Andrina had just come in the villa as a bombshell.
Right.
I'm wondering, is there a world in which someone wanted to send Jeremiah home so that they could get to know Andrina?
All I know is what is being shown to me and what is being told to me. Taylor had came to me on some, yo, Jeremiah is repeating the same cycle again with Andrina. Okay. Sound like Jeremiah, but I'll see for myself, and then if that's my experience, that's my experience. Boom, I'm seeing a little bit of what Taylor is talking about. I'm like, okay, but again, I have my own situation with Shelly. I'm more focused on that. But again, I do peep all the, stuff going down.
So let me ask this in a different way.
Yeah.
Did Taylor want to get to know Andrina?
Yeah, for sure, overly.
Do you feel like he was maybe incentivized to vote to send Jeremiah home to get him out the paint? That way he could focus and lock in on Andrina.
I know he definitely really wanted to get to know Andrina. I'll just leave it at that. I know he did.
What was your experience with Andrina?
My experience with Andrina, the first thing that
Taylor? Yeah.
she had mentioned to me off the first introduction of, she had came down the stairs for the Meg Thee Stallion challenge and gave me a hug. And the first thing she said was, well, I know you don't want to be touched, because, she had already, watched the whole interaction of Amaya. And for me, it sucks because it was putting me at a disadvantage to get to know different women amongst the house. And when she had made that comment, I was already off of it right then and there. And I know she still wanted to get to know me as well. She had made me smoothies in the kitchen and shit like that. I was like, yo, we gotta chop it up, we gotta get to know each other. But again, I already had Shelly at the end of the day. So, and I made that clear at the fire pit that all I wanted was to talk to was Shelly. So coming out this whole experience and to see that, you know, she was participating in comments of Ace was jealous of what me and Jeremiah had and he wanted to send us home or send me home, or he wanted to send Jeremiah home and he was jealous of what we had, and, you know, they were haters, quote unquote, but respectfully, I wasn't all the way invested into what you were bringing. And don't get me wrong, she's a gorgeous woman, she's super cool, but that wasn't for me.
One thing I found interesting was during your time in the villa, it seemed like you had strong bonds and strong friendships and strong.
What y'all think about that? I feel like it's believable because, again, like, that's why it was kind of hard. Like, I'm like, do you know Shelly or do you not know Shelly? Because when he was like, bring back my Shelly, and it was just day one. And I was like, when the whole Casa Moore situation went on. So I was just like, okay, I believe it though. I believe it. I think the reason why, remember, because I remember Shelly and Ace playing this cat and mouse game, and it got to a point where Ace didn't want to play that cat and mouse game, but Shelly was still playing that cat and mouse game. And it was because he sat down and told her, like, yeah, I feel like we should continue to explore our options. So, okay, that's what Shelly is doing. And then when, you know, Ace wasn't having the best experience because of what happened with Amaya and him saying he don't want to be touched, I think a lot of women didn't know how to take him after that. And so Shelly is still out here exploring her options, as she should, because that's what he told her to do. That's what they agreed to do. And so he just didn't play his cards right. So that's what I think. I think there's some truth to what he's saying, but I don't think he was really into Andrina like that.
Strong relationships.
Yeah.
And now it seems to me like amongst the other islanders, people are quick to defend their friends when shit is not actually like, wait a second, that's my man's or that's my homegirl, and that's not really how it happened.
Oh, let's get into it.
Do you feel that, or is maybe what I'm seeing not accurate?
I feel like throughout my time in the villa, I had catered to a lot of people's, you know, relationships. They would come to me. It wasn't a matter of me going out of my way. And sometimes I would go out of my way to check on people, but it was always a thing of making sure people are seeing both sides of the situation. Even when they're right, I call it, say, look, you're right, you wrong, you wrong. Like, and that was my whole thing of making sure I'm helping out everybody throughout this experience. Because again, first thing coming into the villa, I wasn't worried about the friendships and all that. I was worried about finding love. But you do develop friendships throughout that entire time.
It's natural.
Exactly. So we're gonna be in the house together for 6 weeks. You're bound to, you know, be friends with some people at some point. So being that's the case, we had all developed a really, really close friendship. And coming out the villa, people see narratives get spent and want to protect their own brand image, which is crazy because I know a lot of things about certain people post-villa, during villa, before villa. You would think you would, you know, have my back about certain shit. But
because if shit hit the fan,
man, your shit finna hit the fan. But I'm not the type of person to be like, I'm about to go air out everybody's shit just to protect my own ass. But it is what it is. But
you have felt that though, that
yes,
like people haven't had your back in the way that other islanders have had.
For sure. And to me, bro, again, even if I look crazy, knowing that person's narrative got spent wild on the show, I'm gonna stand their character. You know what I mean? Like if I met this person, I was able to get to know them, and they said they did this. Look, someone asked me a question, they did this and they did this. That's from my perspective, though. I would expect more people to be like that in this world, but unfortunately, that's not the case because again, clout comes into play. You want
See, Ace gives me that he's still in that young 20-something mindset where he expects for people to be like him. You can expect for people to be them. You just need to be open to seeing who they are. But if you're constantly projecting on them how you are, then you get disappointed a lot. A lot of young people struggle with this. You enter into the adult world and you realize that people have their own way of doing things and you may not like it or you may not even agree. But when you project on other people that they should do this or show up this way and do things this way, like you're always constantly going to be disappointed. You have to learn how to detach, only worry about yourself, and let people do them in the way that they choose to do them. And if you don't like it, then you can remove yourself, you can distance yourself, and you don't have to be around them at all. But you can't just continue to just be out here projecting on other people how you think they should move, how you think they should handle things. And he sat up here and he was like, yeah, I just feel like more people in the world should be like that. But it's like, that's not even realistic. People are going to do things based off of how they were raised, based off of their experience. And you have to meet people where they are at. And if you don't like where they are, then just remove yourself. That's it. That's the only control that you truly have. But he expects for people to do things in his way, on his time, the way he wants. And it's like, that's not realistic at all. At all, at all, at all.
protect everything that you got. Again, I had all that shit. So that's not my main focus. I'm gonna speak on what's real. What's real?
Yeah.
It is what it is, so.
What were your thoughts on Nicolandria and Nick getting dumped and then being brought back as a couple?
It's funny because I know Nick, you know, had found Alandria attractive day one, and you know when Nick got axed from the villa, and to see that Alandria had got axed from the villa and they'd be coupled up again, my experience with that was, you know, they thought each other were attractive, but it was never going to be more than just friends right then and there, and they were just, you know, it was just going to be cool, you know, and just as time goes on, Tierra gets, you know, dragged out the villa. Now it's a thing where I'm feeling like I have to be catering to know what's going on between Nick and Alandria. What's going on between Nick and Alandria? You know, it's.
And I feel like production forced that. I feel like production forced that for Nick to have someone to talk to on screen about Olandria's connection without it being Olandria. So I think that's what he's insinuating here. It's like, yeah, like I kind of like Sierra gets dragged out, and then the next thing I know, it's Nicolandria, and it's like, and now I have to be for Nicolandria, and it's like I really didn't feel like I got to really truly express, you know, the whole situation from Sierra being removed to Nick now being with Olandria. So I can understand his point of view with that.
Part of, you know, the Love Island, you know, experience, but my last conversation with Nick before I left was, you know, it's, you know, he finds her attractive, she finds him attractive, but they haven't found a romantic spark. And that was my conversation with him throughout this entire experience. He was saying that it was nothing more than a physical attraction. It was just not at that romantic spark level.
Got you.
And, you know, coming out the villa and, you know, seeing that this whole...
Did y'all see the jump? Something was cut out. Hold on. Did y'all see that jump?
And that was my conversation with him throughout this entire experience. So he was saying that it was nothing more than a physical attraction. It was just not at that romantic spark level.
Did y'all see that jump? Man, that's what I be saying. I don't know what was left out, but I'm interested to know like what was edited out. Man, that's crazy. What was said? See, that's what I be see, this why I got trust issues. That's why when it came to the shade room, I had to go watch this full interview because I was like, let me see what the hell y'all talking about. And the way they edited that soundbite, they took the last end of the interview and put it at the front and then put this part at the end. That's messy. So then what was edited out when it came to this part of the interview? This is crazy.
Got you.
And, you know, coming out the villa and, you know, seeing that this whole Nicolandria thing has been a thing for a while, it's like damn, that's crazy. You know what I mean?
A lot of people on the internet felt as though there was like this...
And listen, the reason why I'm saying this is because Speedy is not here for Nicolandria. He's not here for Nicolandria at all. So the hell did he edit out? Because we know that. I've seen Speedy. He's been keeping up with Love Island. He's been doing his takes on TikTok. I'm in and out with it because sometimes I'm like, I don't really like his takes. I'm just being honest about Love Island. I didn't really care for his takes too much. But I know he does not care for Nicolandria at all. So what did you edit out? What did they edit out? It's still his brand. It's still his face. Regardless of what editors do, I'm still responsible. It's my brand. It's my face. This is my shit. Editors work for me. It's not the other way around. So that's an excuse. So what was cut out?
Brewing underlying romance between Nick and Alandria all along. Like, oh, I saw it. I could tell they were into each other.
Yeah.
As someone who was in the villa, did you see that? Like from the like, oh, they're gonna end up together, or they really feeling each other?
Nah, because again, like, first week is a little bit hazy. Everybody's trying to get to explore.
And again, the question was when you were in there. So that means when they were in the villa, not post villa, in the villa. So that puts this conversation, this question into a time frame. Okay? It puts it into a time frame. So he's speaking on in the villa, and based off of in the villa, we all watched what happened when they were first coming together and connecting, that they both were saying that there wasn't a romantic spark because their connection was still fresh. So what he's saying right here matches up with what he said in this interview here, and it matches up with what we watched on TV. And that has not been the case with other islanders. Like other islanders, they're saying one thing, but it's like that's not what was shown on the reality show. And then a lot of the Islanders didn't watch the reality show. So he's the first one that actually watched the reality show, and things are matching up with what he's saying and what we saw. So that's why I was a little confused by people, because I was just like, but that's what was said. That's what Nick said. That's what Olandria said. That's what they both said at that time, though. So again, at that time when they were still in the villa, this is not post villa yet.
For everybody, you know, and that's just that. But as time goes on, didn't nobody really, you know, see a connection brewing from that. And even when Alandria got X from the island and she came over back to the villa, they had doubled down and said, yeah, nah, this ain't that trust. You know what I mean? So just to see all the commotion about now, I'm like, wow, it's crazy.
Was it Olandria maybe that didn't see Nick romantically, or was it Nick that didn't see her romantically?
I feel like it was both. Like, I felt like Alandria has been very adamant on telling me what her type is, and like, yo, my type is this. I see myself dating this. You know, I've experienced dating different backgrounds and stuff like that. But I knew for a fact Alandria wasn't going to openly explore that. And I know the same thing about Nick. I know Nick finds Alandria attractive. I know he finds her gorgeous, but she is, like, don't get me wrong, Alandria is fire, but I know it wasn't that anymore than, when it was surface level, because again, Nick had tested that connection. He said it wasn't enough for him, and he went back to Sierra. And then boom, again, Sierra gets axed, and now that's a thing.
He's back with Alandria.
Yeah.
So I think what Ace is not trusting is in the order in which things were done based off of what he was told. So he's looking at Nick kind of like, sideways, because it's like, okay, you told me that y'all didn't have the romantic spark. It was just a physical connection. Then you got to understand too, Sierra gets dragged out of the villa, meaning like Nick didn't make the choice for her to leave. She had to leave. You get what I'm saying? And so then the next day, it's like, oh, so y'all are now building this connection after Sierra gets dragged out of here? Like, so he's like kind of confused, like, okay, and now it's like Nicolandria, but it's like, it was just in the way it was done. It just seemed like it wasn't genuine on Nick's part. And I could see that point of view because a lot of people were questioning, like, is Nick being genuine with Olandria? Because of how the dynamic happened in the villa with Sierra being removed. And it was against her choice. It was against Nick's choice. And then he pops up with Olandria. So I think he's just saying, like, that was kind of weird. But at the same time, he's also going based off of what was told to him by Nick, how they didn't have this romantic spark. So he didn't know what to think. That's what it gives. He doesn't really know what to think. So I think he's kind of shocked by the whole Nicolandria movement that's going on. I think that's what I think that's what he's insinuating, but let's see.
Had Nick ever explicitly told you, yo, I'm interested in Olandria romantically?
No, like it's always been a fact of she's attractive.
Mm-hmm. So what's it like for you now to come out the?
And I also want to add too, I think he's telling the truth about that. And I think because Nick probably never felt comfortable really truly like expressing his feelings for Olandria because of Taylor. So, and Taylor and Ace are close. So are you going to feel comfortable just opening up? And both Olandria and Nick have said in numerous interviews that they didn't really know if the other was really feeling the other person. And then it was because also when it comes to what's his name, Taylor, Nick was trying to read like, okay, well, it seems like y'all like each other, but I'm feeling you too, but I don't know like if I should even pursue you because of Taylor. So I don't really see Nick being 100% comfortable sitting up with Ace telling him his true feelings about Olandria when Ace is cool with Taylor. So it's messy. It's messy.
Villa and like Nicolandria is like a movement now. As someone who experienced it firsthand, what is your reaction to Nicolandria?
For me, reacting to the whole Nicolandria thing, I was really happy for Alandria. Like, she had been dealt bad cards throughout that whole entire experience, and just to see her coming out and getting a sense of happiness, that's what I really cared about throughout this whole entire process. So
I asked you how you felt about Nicolandria, and you said you're happy for Alandria. What about Nick?
Yeah, I'm happy for Nick too. I'm happy for both of them. It's just I'm really happy for Alandria because again we developed a really close bond in there as well.
Let's talk about the heart rate challenge.
Yeah, let's do it.
The heart rate challenge was a moment that rocked the internet.
People are saying he's jealous. I don't get jealousy, y'all. I think he does not trust Nick. That's what I think. I don't think he trusts Nick. That's what I think. Which is why he said, I'm happy for Olandria. I don't think he trusts Nick like that. And I think it's because of his own experience. I don't think it has anything to do with jealousy of what they have or anything like that. I don't think he really trusts Nick like that. That's what I think. I don't think it's jealousy. I think he don't really trust Nick, but he's happy for Olandria. So, and this could be animosity because maybe of their friendship, how he been moving since being outside of the villa, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's like, if you really care for Olandria and you're having this friendship with Nick and you don't like how he moving, it kind of puts you in a weird spot. Y'all let me know what you think.
Internet.
Yeah.
It seemed as though we at home did not see the entirety of what happened between you and Huda.
That's what
there was kissing involved, there was a lap dance involved, there's some capacity, and that's all we saw. And then in the reunion, they showed an extended clip and said, hey, this is what actually happened.
Yeah.
Based on what was shown in the reunion, was that exactly what transpired?
Yes and no. Like, I feel like the clip was sped up a little bit more than what it was made out to be because, again, everybody was looking around for about a good, like, maybe 5, 6, 7 seconds, like, what the hell is going on right now? And don't get me wrong, too, it's, everybody's like, one thing I seen amongst everybody was, why isn't Shelly holding Ace accountable for wilding out in that challenge?
I was gonna ask you that. Did you feel any, or do you feel any responsibility in that to take accountability for your actions in it?
Yes and no. Like, for sure, amongst that whole entire process, throughout the whole entire season, we have been preaching it's a challenge, it's a challenge, it's a challenge. And that whole entire challenge was nothing different than what every other challenges was just kissing, trying to be passionate, trying to, you know, do sexy ass shit and all that just to get the points or get the win or whatever like that. So really that was the mindset I was coming from when it came to throughout that whole entire challenge. But then nobody can expect her to just lick from the damn near gooch up to the tip. Like that shit was crazy as hell to me. You know what I mean? So that's when I was like, yo, this shit is crazy. Now, afterwards, everybody's laughing and joking and shit like that. And I'm looking at her and I know she's pissed and that's where I'm like, damn, like this shit has become even more than what it's supposed to be. Like for me, again, I'm looking at it from it's a challenge perspective and I'm seeing my girl piss and you know,
I knew Shelly was mad. I just don't think they really showed her reaction towards Ace. They showed her reaction only towards Helda, but she was pissed at Ace. She was pissed. You could tell.
See, I was pissed too when she had doubled back and did the whole thing with Chris and all that. So, but trust and believe, she held me accountable for like a week straight and was on my ass about that whole entire situation. Y'all ain't see me with a smile for like 4 episodes. Like, that shit was tough, I ain't gonna lie. And then even when we had that conversation at the fire pit as well with all the boys, and again, if anybody's gonna vouch for me, they're gonna vouch for me. If they're not, but they can't say I'm lying. I had told them, look, I was uncomfortable, respectfully. Like, again, nobody can expect her to do some shit like that. So my thing is I've been preaching boundaries throughout this whole entire experience. And at that moment in time, that's when we had pulled Amaya just to show there's no beef because I already knew what the...
I think he enjoyed it, but then when he saw how Shelly responded or reacted, I think that's when he didn't. I think he enjoyed it when it was going on because he's looking at it from the perspective of this is a challenge. But when he saw how Shelly responded, I think that's when he didn't like it. That's when I think he became uncomfortable because it made Shelly uncomfortable. So that's what I think. But I think he was taking it lightheartedly, obviously, because that's what we see, especially the unedited version or whatever, which I still think the unedited version is still edited. But again, like I think it became uncomfortable for him based off of how Shelly responded and how she reacted. And I think that's what made him uncomfortable because now you put me in a weird spot with Shelly and I don't even like you like that, you know, over a challenge. So I think that's what it was.
The narrative was from the outside of different girls coming into the villa saying, oh, he don't like to be touched. We're not gonna touch Ace. We don't want to be involved with Ace. But then they got to know me and it was a different story. So it was the same thing with the heart rate challenge. It was just me just trying to clear up. The problem isn't me being touched.
Yeah.
The issue is me just stating boundaries. And at that moment in time, it was uncomfortable as hell. And people can get their heart rate raised from being shocked, surprised, trying to deal with the emotions of his girl right next to him. Like, it's a lot. So it wasn't a matter of me being sexually attracted to Huda. Like, don't get me wrong, the first few days, yeah, I was definitely trying to explore her, just like I was trying to explore everybody else. But I had made it very clear to her day 4, day 5, that this isn't that romantically. So the narrative, Ace enjoyed that, Ace wanted Huda alone this whole entire time, has never been that. I've been told her that, and that was my frustration with her, is you keep pushing and
I think people like, listen, you don't have to like him, but can we just be real about what we all witnessed? That's my thing, because Nick did not handle certain things correctly to me. He had 2 love triangles, and y'all really think like that's the best that he could do? This is why I be saying, like, listen, 2 things can be true. He could be really in like really having real deep romantic feelings for Olandria, but he can also be immature in ways too. It's like why people can't hold two perspectives regarding the same person in the same situation. It's like no, it's only black or white, and it's like that's not life. Like life is way too complex for that. So it's like okay, he can have these deep romantic feelings for Olandria, the girl that he wanted since day one, but he also immaturely handled those love triangles with Bella, Sierra. He just handled it wrong to the point where the only accountability, because that's another thing that I wanted to see more of on the Love Island reunion. Is like, why wasn't Nick held accountable for shit? Like, he wasn't held accountable for anything. He wasn't held accountable for the fact that he was lying to Bella, and then he was saying he was telling Bella one thing, then he was telling Sierra another thing. Like, why wasn't that shit called out? Then when it came down to Sierra and Olandria, he should have been held accountable for how he handled that as well. The only accountability Nick really got was his mama, who came on the show and was like, really, Nick, on national television? Like, that's the only thing we got. Like, Nick didn't face fire for real. And I feel like there's some questions that he needed to answer so we could all get an understanding, because he was moving weird. Like, can we be real about that? So from Ace's point of view, I understand where he's coming from, because I had the same concern. At first, I was like all for it. And then like halfway through, I saw how Nick ran back to Sierra. And if you go and you watch my reaction in real time, I was like, oh, I don't know. Like the way he was faking it at that picnic with Sierra, I was like, damn, like you can sit up here and really fake it with Sierra like this and then be like all when you know you have real deep romantic feelings for Olandria. Like I just thought that was crazy. So then Sierra gets dragged out of the house, and then all of a sudden you back cool and you're like really trying it with Olandria. So I get his point of view. He is questioning Nick's motives, and I feel like that's fair. I'm not saying he's correct, right? I'm just saying I feel like that's fair. You get what I'm saying? It doesn't mean that it's true that he has hidden motives and he's not serious about Olandria. I feel like him questioning his motives are fair, y'all, because I even question his motives, because I'm like, damn, Nick was moving weird though. He was hopping around a lot. And so that's why I was just like, I actually understand where Ace is coming from. I just wish it's like now it's like I just wish he would have went about this differently. That's the only thing. I'm just like, I feel like me being mature is like, this is, you could have did better than this, because now narratives are going to spin. There's a hate train for Nicolandria. It's like you could have considered Olandria in the backlash that she was going to get, or even just the scrutiny that she was going to get from your comments regarding her connection with Nick. And that was something that he should have considered for the love and respect of Olandria, and not for the sake of him speaking his truth. That's my issue with this. So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what the girls do, but it just makes things really complicated. And then the shade room just made this situation worse.
And feeding into these little narratives of that, oh yeah, I was attracted to Ace. I just had a conversation with you the day before that it's not that, and it's never going to be anything like that. So the fact that you keep pushing this narrative on that I was on you, it hasn't been like that.
One thing I will challenge you on.
Yeah.
You said you felt uncomfortable
Yeah.
during. You looked into it.
I looked into it. And don't get me wrong, I was smacking the basketballs and shit.
You looked into it to me.
And I completely get that. I get that. But again, I'm going into it with the mindset of it's a challenge and everybody's just trying to have fun and do that shit.
Sure.
But again, I completely can see how that looks and why I should be held accountable. But trust me, Shelly done went through all the motions with me with regard to that.
Huda, coming out of the villa now, is amongst the most popular.
Yeah.
Her follower counts, I think, surpass everyone else who's on the show.
Yeah.
Her fan base is very loyal.
Yeah.
Do you feel as
I think what people are missing is like he didn't mind having fun with Huda, but he was never gonna take her serious. The woman that he took serious was the woman he had in the hideaway, and whatever they had going on in that hideaway, we know nothing about. So again, like it's like in the challenge, like yeah, I'll have fun with you, but I don't really want to be with you. Like I don't see, and then again, attractiveness is not just sexual and it's not just physical. And it's very clear that when it came to Shelly, that the attractiveness was not just physical and it wasn't just sexual. Like they actually had intellectual intimacy. And that was something he could have never had with Helda. He also had emotional intimacy with Shelly. That was something he was never going to get with Helda because she's not emotionally mature enough to have emotional intimacy. So I think a lot of people are just not really understanding. It's like, okay, like he was having fun with her because he may be physically attracted to her, but still, like, his attraction was with Shelly on every level, from physical, sexual, intellectual, emotional. It's like that's how you sustain a real connection and a real relationship. It can't just be all physical and all sexual. That, I feel like that's what's wrong with the dating scene now. Everyone is just holding on to these physical and sexually attracted or sexually driven relationships, and they were never meant to last. So he picked a connection with the woman that was really built solid, where it was emotional, it was intellectual. They could share that intimacy. It wasn't just physical and sexual. And I think with Helda, it's just physical and sexual, which means nothing. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have any substance. Shelly, substance. Helda, it's hollow. Like, I don't think people understand the difference.
As though these friendships that she has outside of the villa with the other islanders are organic.
I feel as our time in the villa, everybody went through the same experience, you know, in some shape or form. As far as dealing with Huda, everybody went through the same experience with that. Everybody was adamant on telling their opinions about her, and to come out and everybody sees just a little bit of clout, you know, new friendships form, and new things don't want to get spoke on because they don't want to be attacked by a certain fan base. Me, I don't give a damn, respectfully. So if you're gonna speak on something, stand by that, in the villa and outside the villa. You don't gotta be friends with anybody to get a, you know, what's the word? Alliance going or allegiance going, you know, with certain islanders to step your shit up. Honestly, go put in the work and build your own following. You don't gotta be friendly with somebody to, you know, do all that. But that's just me, respectfully.
Based on what you're saying there, what is your relationship with Huda now?
Ooh, and you know who I think he talking about? I think he was talking about Nick. Cause y'all, see, this is why, like, I understand where Ace is coming from. He followed Helda all the way up until the interview aired. Why? Like, what was that about? So I think, and I think Nick was having conversations with Ace about Helda, but then came out of the villa and he's on a TikTok live stream with Olandria and Helda. Cause remember, it was they were three willing, and we looking at them like, why the hell is Helda and Nick and Olandria all hanging out together? Like, that's weird. So I don't think it's just Amaya. I think it's also Nick too. I don't think it's just because you got to think about all the people Helda was hanging out with. And the first people she was out on TikTok with was Nick and Olandria. It wasn't even Amaya. It was Nick and Olandria. So I don't know. He's not really putting a name to it, but I have a feeling. It wasn't just Amaya. I have a feeling it was Nick as well.
We don't have a relationship, honestly. It's just certain things I don't respect, and I'm guaranteed there's certain things she probably don't respect from me, and we just see it as that. But
what don't you respect?
I just didn't respect how she was moving, as far as, like, you know, either being sneak comments or just, you know, her demeanor, or just, you know, certain things. That's just, as a person, I didn't respect it, you know?
I want to talk about your height.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
You are, how tall are you? Well, people, on that couch, that's when you actually look short.
And what people don't understand, there's some giant ass furniture. My name in your mouth, and you're still pushing the algorithm, so right. I appreciate the height conversation.
The premise of Love Island is to find a connection.
Yeah.
To find love.
Yeah.
To find and build a real relationship.
Yeah.
You did that.
Yeah.
And then you got dumped from the island.
Mm-hmm.
It was cringy.
What was your reaction to that?
Finally, honestly, like, I was ready to go home week 2, and I made that known to everybody that I'm not feeling this whole entire experience. But really, the whole experience taught me how to really form a connection with somebody, go through the ups and downs, and really just take shit head on in relationships. I'm so used to, you know, all right, you're not fucking with me, cool, I'm dipping, you know what I mean, and keep it peak. But this whole entire experience taught me how to grow with somebody through the rights, the wrongs, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything, you know. And once I found that person who I feel I could share that with, I was ready to go home. I was cooking.
And this is the thing. I get Nick is trying to be neutral with everyone, but that's his privilege. Ace doesn't have the privilege to be neutral with everyone because, well, no one's feeding into these negative stereotypes. Nick has privilege, so no one is really attacking his character and his reputation in the same way people are attacking Ace. So Ace doesn't have the black privilege to be neutral, but Nick does. And I don't know why like black women are wanting to be blind to that, because again, like the whole situation with Helda was of the whole George Floyd situation. And so it's just like, as soon as you heard Olandria say that shit to you, there should have been an immediate unfollow. There's no waiting all the way up until the reunion, because y'all knew about that situation behind the scenes. We had no idea it had impacted Olandria as deeply as it did. So it's like nobody wants to like really consider like how that may have looked to the other islanders and things like that, because it's like, why didn't you unfollow her when she did not make that video telling her racist fans to, hey, back off? Like, I don't stand for that. I don't stand for racism. This is my friend, okay, and I don't stand for racism. She could have made a post, she could have did anything, but then Nick is still following her and supporting her. Olandria unfollowed, why didn't you? So I don't know, like that's weird, and that's based off of my own observation. It's not based off of what Ace is saying. That's based off of my own observation. You knew all of that stuff was going on with Olandria when it came to the Joyce Floyd situation, and you decided to unfollow her like after the reunion. I just, and it's probably because of all of the backlash that you were seeing and all of the comments that you were seeing about the Joyce Floyd situation. You should have been done did that. You should have been done did that to me.
Give a damn about the prize, could give a damn about the recognition. You know what I mean? What we had, it was real. You know what I mean?
Do you feel like the other Islanders felt like the correct couples made the finale?
The conversations have been behind closed doors that certain couples shouldn't have been in the Final Four. And when we get in front of cameras, you know, especially at the reunion, they didn't show this clip, but it happened, is, oh, the Final Four should have been the Final Four, and everybody who got voted to the Final Four should have been there. And, you know, it's crazy because it's supposed to be your friend in the process saying that.
Who said that?
Nick. Yeah. Yeah.
So Nick said, oh no, the Final Four that America voted for was the correct Final Four, excluding you and Shelly.
Right.
Interesting.
Which is perfectly fine, but it's like, that's not the conversations that we have behind closed doors. Right. And again, we get in front of cameras. And
that's not what you said to me.
Exactly.
Do you find that happened frequently with people? Like they would say one thing and then...
And you know what I think this is? I think Nick is being coached on what to say, and then Ace is not. And I really feel like the reason why their friendship broke down was because Nick is creating a brand with Olandria, and then Ace is creating this brand with Shelly. And so if your PR rep or your PR person is telling you to say certain things and say it this way, right? But then you have to go against your friend, right? Then that creates friction right there. And I think that's what is currently happening between Nick and Ace. I really think it's because Ace is considering his brand with Olandria, his connection with Olandria and things like that. And I don't think he's really considering Ace at all. So I think that's what this is, because that is weird. Like your friend is telling you, oh, it should be you and Shelly in the Final Four, right? And then like on camera, you're saying, no, I think they got it right. I think America got it right. That would be weird. That would be weird. Come on, y'all. Like, can we be real? Can we be real? Like, would you want somebody doing that to you? They saying one thing to you in private, and then publicly they saying something else. And then that something in public is a hindrance to you and your experience and what you went through. You wouldn't feel some type of way? I would feel some type of way. I would feel some type of way. I just don't like how Ace is allowing him. He's valid in his feelings to feel this type of way, but don't allow it to cloud your judgment when it comes to the people that you still love and care about, which is Olandria and Shelly. And that's my whole thing. I'm going to keep reiterating that, okay? It's like, okay, you have every right to feel how you feel, but don't allow it to cloud your judgment when it comes to the people that you still love and respect that are still in your corner. That's what I don't like. It's like, listen, have your issue with Nick, but think about who he is connected to and think about how it may impact her. And if you still have respect and love for her, then you would not have mentioned too much about Nick and Olandria at all. You would have just kept it about y'all's relationship and friendship and kept it light around the areas that still involved Olandria. That's all I'm saying. That's my issue. But to fully hear him out, like, no, I see where he's coming from. And what a lot of people don't want to acknowledge is that everyone is focused on Ace, but do y'all not see how that may have impacted Shelly though? Like, and that's the thing. It's like both of them, between Ace and Nick, they need to understand that they are an extension of each of their partners, right? And so because of that, you got to be careful about what you're out here saying publicly, because that's going to impact them as well. So Nick not thinking that, okay, well, Shelly may be feeling some type of way because you said that, but you know, that's Olandria's man. That's her homegirl's man. But it's like, it's shady towards, you know, Shelly, which her man is feeling shaded a little bit. So then, like, you see how that's like creating a separation, a division and things. I just feel like things just need to be handled differently. And it's just, to me, better communication, honestly.
In front of the cameras,
Yeah,
maybe a different
I feel like
conversation.
majority of the cast though, it was like that. Like I've had people's backs with no loyalty towards these people. I still had your back in the process, and you get in front of cameras and it's either silence or you stand in something else that you know is not what it is behind the scenes, and it's okay.
At some point, it appeared as a viewer that there was a cold sore breakout in the villa at some point. Did that happen?
I ain't get no cold sore.
Did you see cold sores in there?
That is not fun.
A couple of them.
How did you, with so much kissing involved, how did you not get one?
How did I not get one?
When I was watching, I'm looking, I'm like, wait.
No, but real question. Y'all really think Ace and Shirley didn't deserve to be in the Final Four? Serious question. Y'all don't think Ace and Shirley? I feel like Ace and Shirley could have easily replaced Iris and Pepe. They're not even together anymore. Or they could have easily replaced Chris and Helda. I feel like they should have been. So that was a wild comment though by Nick. That was wild. That was a wild comment because even if they weren't friends, I still wouldn't feel like, oh, Shelly and Ace didn't deserve to be in the Final Four.
Wait a second, what is that there? And then I thought I saw, you know?
Yeah. Shit. You know, for me again, I'm very clear. I don't give a damn if we're on the show. I'm gonna ask you, yo, do you have anything you wanna let me know or stuff like that? But you ain't seen no cockroaches around my lips. So
These are some serious questions. And I'm hoping you're gonna be honest with these.
I've been honest since day one.
Honest is the wrong word. You've been honest, but there are certain things that you've withheld and have spoke carefully about. And these are some questions that I want to give you the opportunity to speak bluntly and openly to the extent that you feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Starting with this, Shelly and Olandria were said to have been bullies. That's a narrative that we saw unfold on the internet. I did not see that whatsoever.
Yeah.
You were in the villa, I was not. Did you find Shelly and Olandria to be bullies, particularly to Huda?
I feel like throughout that entire time in the villa, Olandria and Shelly held themselves up like the queens that they are. I feel like the black people on this show found themselves being therapists to other people's couples. And that was the toughest thing for me because again, a lot of the shit I didn't give a damn about to talk with somebody else. Of course I'll care, of course I want to be there for somebody, but I'm here to find my own connection, respectfully. And being that that's the case, I feel like they were put in a situation to where they had to constantly not lash out because they were going to be looked at crazy, but real world, like this is some lash out type of shit.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And
He ain't lying.
I feel like they did the best that any woman or black woman could do, especially like being in that villa, and they held it down, and I would support anything that they do.
So no bullying?
No bullying, none of that.
And see, this is the part that really like pissed me off, that everyone is talking about Nicolandria, but it's like, why didn't the Shade Room post this? You get what I'm saying? Like, why are you editing the end of this interview and then tying it in with the Nicolandrian question? Why didn't you post this to the Shade Room first? That's why I question like the title that they made and all that, like it was manipulated. Why didn't they make that a headline? Why did Olandria and Shelly are like, Ace is saying Olandria and Shelly are not mean girls, and then put the clip up there to clear up the air on a black platform, a black publication. Like, why didn't they do that? Why are they trying to make it seem like this black woman is not being desired by this white male? Like, that's what's pissing me off. Like, honestly, y'all, that's what's really like pissing me off with this whole situation. It's like, why didn't the Shade Room do that? They know exactly what they was doing. And that's why Ace, regardless of how you feel about Nick, you got to be smarter than this. Like, you got to be smarter than this. You can't allow your emotions to cloud your better judgment when it comes to your truth and your opinions regarding your experience on the show. I'm just being honest. Like, you should have.
Do you feel like the narrative that was painted around you, Olandria, and Shelly specifically was the way it was because of your racial identity? Do you feel like because you're a black man, because they're black women, the edits that you guys got was different than your counterparts that are not black?
How I say this? for me, as a black man, I know I constantly have a target on my back, you know, and I gotta be okay with that. But in this situation, I don't wanna play the, oh, I'm black, so that's why they're painting me this way, because I don't ever wanna move throughout life like that with the whole victim mentality. But what I will say is it was a lot of consistency amongst, you know, the black couples, amongst, you know, black people in general throughout the entire process. And you gotta just take that on the chin. I feel like as black people every day, we take shit on the chin and we just keep the shit moving, because that's how we were raised to be. You know?
Didn't I say that? Didn't I say we be taking stuff on the chin? We be taking stuff on the chin. We be taking stuff up on the chin. And even at the reunion, I still feel like Olandria and Shelly had to take stuff on the chin and take it on the chin. Taylor deserved to take the shit on the chin, but Shelly and Olandria didn't deserve to take anything on the chin, in my opinion. Nothing. But it was a lot of that going on. Like it was a lot of that going on at the reunion. And they still couldn't really voice their truth authentically. Like they still had to hold back.
You know, we can't dwell on the past. We can't dwell on what we haven't been given, what we haven't earned, or we have to earn damn near everything in this life. And I feel like we've been doing a good job of trying to keep a cool, level head and not letting anybody get us bent out of shape. You know.
Olandria revealed on the reunion that she was the target of racial epithets and blatant racism.
Yeah.
She pressed Huda on the fact that Huda did not intervene. Do you feel like Huda could have stopped the racism that Olandria was receiving?
Coming out the villa, I don't be on social media often. But when I do scroll on social media, certain shit will pop up on my For You page. The blatant racism that Olandria had endured and Shelly had endured was completely out of pocket. And the comment section was nothing but Huda this, Huda that, Huda this, Huda that, Huda this, Huda that. And I feel like that with the shit I've seen, Huda has made it a point to stand on business. I remember she had went on a stream. It popped up on my For You page. She went on a stream and she was misinterpreted about kicking some people out of the room. She made a post immediately that that wasn't the case to clear her name. You just spent 6+ weeks with these women who are facing backlash amongst racist ass people. And the comments are spamming nothing but your name. If I were you, I would make it a point to be like, look, I don't stand for none of that shit. Because you have the capacity to do it. You've done it time and time before.
Ooh.
But you chose not to do it.
And chose not to. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, she didn't post it, so I feel like that's a sucky way to go through our life. If my girl had made a post saying, I don't stand for hate, I stand for peace, and same thing with Olandria, I feel like the least Huda could have done was that. She didn't do that.
Why wasn't this posted? Like why wasn't this highlighted? I don't know. I'm just very it's very interesting that these black platforms that have the ability to put our black truths out here on these black platforms, they're choosing not to do that. They're choosing to create narratives that are not real, that don't even fucking exist. Because he never said their relationship wasn't fake. He's questioning Nick, not their connection. He's truly questioning Nick's motives, which I understand why. A lot of people question Nick. People keep saying there's a rumor going around that he's an opportunist. And I'm like, you know, but it's like, okay, this is real. This is what really happened. This is what really is going on. This is their truth. Why not post that? Why not? And listen, what a lot of people are wanting to overlook is Ace is saying what Shelly and Olandria, I feel like they are afraid to say. Seriously, Shelly is afraid to say it. Olandria is afraid to say it. But here, Ace is just saying it the way that it is and the way that needed to be said. Because we thought that Shelly and Olandria was going to say this with Keke Palmer. That did not happen. So I don't understand why these clips weren't posted out there on these black platforms with large followings. I don't understand that. So I do appreciate the things that he's saying in these segments with Shelly and Olandria and the racism and the mean girl rhetoric that people are pushing, the mean girl narratives that people are pushing. I'm glad he just kept it real about that, because Olandria and Shelly haven't been able to just be blunt and just direct about what they experience.
And it's okay, but again, that's where I feel like they were right to separate themselves from Huda and that friendship and just let it be what it is from a distance.
Today, as Ace, who would you consider to be your friend from the villa?
Who I consider to be my friend is the people who support me out loud and not behind closed doors. Olandria, obviously me and Shelly more than friends, and Taylor.
That's it.
Brian calls to check in on me from time to time to make sure I'm straight, and that's it.
So me asking you who your friends are, and you name Olandria, Taylor, and maybe Brian. The glaring omission there is Nick.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, like, me and Nick are cool, but like, to say we are super, super close, like we were in the villa, it's not the case, you know, because again, certain instances, I take a look at it for what it is. Coming out this villa, I seen a lot of people not stand behind what they say and let narratives continue to spin.
So listen. This is what I need. I need black women to hear me when I say this. He's not wrong. Like, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. I think he was, I think, and this is what I will say. When non-black people are our friends, right? We expect things of you that your non-black friends won't expect of you. And the reason is because we're black. Like, we have a black experience, right? And I feel like the reason why he's still cool with Taylor is because Taylor understands, because he's black and he has a black experience. And I think non-black people don't understand when it comes to being friends with a black person, we're going to expect things of you that your other friends will never expect of you because they're not black. That's what that is. And so the same issue that Ace has with Nick is the same issue Olandria has with Helda. And that's what people are like wanting to just jump over, skip over, and not even consider it all. So Ace is mad at Nick for the same reasons Olandria is mad at Helda. It's literally the same thing. It's just two different relationships, two different friendships, two different situations. And see, that's the issue. That this is why Ace feels the way that he feels. It's like, you didn't have my back. You saw how people were tarnishing my character as a black man, and you didn't have my back. And the same thing that Olandria is saying regarding Helda is the same thing that he's saying. It's just two different non-black people. That's all it is. And so I'm not saying that Nick can't correct this. He can, but he needs to just own up to it, and he needs to just be real about it. Like, man, I didn't consider that. You know, I got wrapped up in my own shit, and I should have been there for you. That's all Ace wants to hear. That's it. That's it. So if if you can understand where Olandria is coming from when it comes to Helda, then you should be able to understand where Ace is coming from when it comes to Nick, because it's literally the same thing. It's the same damn thing.
The people who stood on what exactly happened in the villa after having all the conversations said today, so when this interview drops, this is who my current people who are close to me. I respect Landra, I respect Shelly, I respect Jeremiah, I respect Brian, and I respect Taylor.
And listen, and if you notice, he's listing off all the people that have either brown experiences or black experiences. He included Jeremiah as well. So that kind of tells me a lot, y'all. Like, that tells me a lot. And I get it. I like Nick. But again, with me liking Nick, let me be clear. I'm leaving room for him to grow. I'm leaving room for him to mature. But I'm not going to just be blindly supporting this man and putting him on a pedestal just because. Like, no, he has some proving to do. Because first of all, Olandria requires a lot of protection because of the scrutiny that she faces from the public as a dark-skinned black woman. And I want to make sure that you can handle that. Are you mature enough to handle that? Because that was something I was very concerned about when they left the villa. Can you handle yourself when it comes to Olandria and the microaggression and the racism that she faces? Can you protect her in the way that she truly needs? That's real. Like, that's being fair. But that's not fairy tale though. That's not a rom-com though. That's real life. That's real shit. So can you really handle and protect her in the way? Because you dropped the ball with Ace, and that all he wanted was your support. So no, I think that's fair. I think that's fair to say. So I'm not gonna lie. When Nick came out of the villa and he was conducting his interviews with Olandria, and he did that weird interview with those two Caucasian women, and he handled himself really well in that interview. I was actually shocked because sometimes Nick he played all day. He played too much. And so I wanted to see a more serious side of Nick. I wanted to see a more mature side of Nick. I only feel like it's fair. But does it mean that Ace's assessment based off of his own experience is correct when it comes to Olandria? I don't think so. I think that when it comes to Ace, that's his own assessment based off of his experience, which he's entitled to, but it doesn't mean it's true though. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Doesn't mean that it's true. And so it brings on a real concern because of how he was done. So can you really be there and support Olandria in the way that she needs when it comes to all the scrutiny that she has to deal with on a daily basis? And I think that's fair to say. I think that's fair to to be reserved about when it comes to Nick. So he don't really know how to feel about Nick for real. He doesn't know how to feel about him. And I think when, you know, that viral of him like making these weird faces and giving silence is because, again, he's happy for Olandria, but he's just not sure about Nick. And it's because of his own experience with Nick post Villa and how he's been getting all of this scrutiny as a black man. And Nick has never came out for in his defense at all and has never said anything on his behalf when they were close. And I think that's fair I think that's fair. I don't think that he's reaching with that.
I'm not super close with everybody like that coming outside the villa because I just see certain things on the internet which I don't respect. And I know you probably about to ask me about the whole Nick is not a equation. It's just, again, certain things I don't rock with. I feel like if you're my friend behind closed doors, you're gonna be my friend in public.
Sure.
And again, we all have fun, we joke, we troll. I seen he did a whole tattoo thing, funny as hell. But when it comes to the serious shit regarding my character, that's the things I take serious.
And you feel like he didn't stand up for you and or silence narratives when he had the opportunity.
And I told him that. I told him, I said, yo, I feel like the answer that you gave was just mad PR, and I didn't respect it. And he was like, well, I'm pretty much over it. So I was like, okay, cool.
He said, I'm pretty much over it?
Yeah, I'm pretty much over the whole thing. Like, so like.
Oh, didn't Helda say the same thing? Well, I've moved past it. Do I need to pull the clip? Y'all, let me pull the clip. Because one thing about me, we unbiased over here. Let me pull the clip so y'all can remember, so I can refresh your memory. Because I'm like, oh wow, didn't Helda say damn thing to Olandria when Olandria was confronting her? Because that's crazy. Let's see. Okay, that's Shelly. Oh, here it is. Let me see.
Okay, so like she said, we're super close in the villa. Upon exiting the villa, once we got our phones back, I saw the amount of hate that I was getting from her stands, and I expressed to Huda, hey, I really feel like it's important, especially if you consider yourself being very, very close to me, and you was close to Shelly at some point, to speak out to your fans and kind of address, because the racism and all the things, because out of all of us, she had the biggest following. And I truly feel like a lot of that stuff that the hate train that me and Shelly came out to was very important. I feel like for her to address directly to her people. And this is before we got on the plane from Fiji to come back to the States. When we got in Cali, in LA, she's mentioned that she would make a post directly to her fans. So I was like, you know what? Thank you, that's all I asked, you know? 2 or 3 days went by and she even decided to address her people. And I'm just like, it pained me because even when she went out there and said she was bullied and she didn't put a name to it, they thought I was one of the bullies, you know what I mean? So I'm glad she kind of put a name to it now, kind of cleared that up. It's like that shit added more hate. I don't think you understand it. That shit was fucking with me mentally. It was so bad. I'm like, dang, like me and Huda was so close. Like I wasn't even worth the post. Like to address your people when they have the whole narrative wrong, you kind of just got into the real world and kind of fell into that narrative and fed it. I'm like, damn, like, did our friendship not mean anything, you know? Which is why I chose to unfollow you. I know we have not spoken, but that's really the reason why.
When I heard about what was going on,
yeah.
I remember I told you, I said, Olandria, I do not want you or Shelly getting hate. And I told you that. And I told you that I would address it. In an interview with press, I addressed the bullying and the hate towards you guys. And I said, don't condone bullying, I don't agree with it. And it got aired the day you unfollowed me.
Can I just say something really quickly? And from what I'm understanding, like, I don't know, you didn't really put a name to who your bullies were. I think now I'm getting clarification that I was one of your bullies.
I never put a name to it. I will say that. I never.
That was
and
what
I
you
also
said
that.
The reason why I'm pulling this clip is because I feel like y'all not seeing where Ace is coming from, but it's literally the same thing that Olandria and Helda have an issue with. It's like, you didn't defend me, but we supposed to be friends.
Hold on. And I literally called you out on the podcast, and I said I love Olandria. So I'm unsure of why you thought it was towards you at all.
Like I got hate from it. That's why I was so confused.
And I didn't even know that. And I wish you would have said something so I could just clarify. again that I love you.
I think the clarification was in the Airbnb though, because the three of us was in that room when we turned to you and said, Huda, like you should address these people, it's not okay, et cetera, et cetera. You said you will. You didn't express to me that you felt like I was a bully to you or this or that. You made it seem like, oh my gosh, I missed you so much, girl, you look beautiful, how are you, whatever. So I'm thinking like everything is good. Like to then see you go in your interviews and say, oh, I was bullied, and now I'll say I was the bully because that's what you're insinuating. It doesn't really make sense if you said you're gonna like knock that out, but then you go on and say, oh, that was my bully. And this is in the midst of me getting constant hate based off of what people felt for you, whatever.
I definitely set things on emotion.
Hold on, let me continue because it's literally the same thing, y'all.
Okay, so like she said, we're super close in the villa. Upon exiting the villa, speak up for me. I'm her.
I said bullying, and when I
It wasn't just bullying, it was racism.
all of it. And I'm really sorry about that. Like
So again, when it comes to Ace and Nick, do you think that when it comes to the scrutiny that Ace was facing, do you think some of that was racism, or do you think it was just because people labeled him like the ringleader? That's what I want to know.
I do not make these posts by people. I have told people I don't want anybody getting hate. I don't want any bullying. I don't want anything. I've said it so many times, today. Like, I am sorry that all of that happened, but I was getting racism hate too. Like,
Girl, bye.
I was getting hate in that way. I think that's wrong. Racism is wrong. I don't agree with it at all.
Is this why you unfollowed her, Alandra?
100%, yeah.
Oh yeah, because it's like I've seen two different people. Because we were in the villa talking, I can't wait to.
And see, you see how Shelly is saying, I feel like I've seen two different people. Ace feels the same way. So that's why he feels weird about Nicolandria. He feels weird because it's like, well, I feel like with me and Nick, I feel like I met two different people. So Shelly feels the same way. Olandria feels the same way when it comes to Helda. And so does Ace. Ace feels the same way when it comes to Nick. And so he's just like, I'm happy for Olandria. And he kept saying, I'm happy for Olandria, but it's a weird position for Ace to be in, I think.
And trips together, you were saying things like, oh, I want you to meet my daughter, etc. I was excited for those moments. But then when we get out, it's like a complete switch. Like you've seen social media, now you're saying you've seen clips and this and that.
Where do you ladies think that?
And do you think that, because another thing too, because we are going to address how Nick has been pretty condescending. So first of all, in the interview, remember when Nick was like, oh, I just go with whatever Ace is saying. Okay. He really didn't add much to the reunion either. He was like, I'm gonna just go with whatever Nick is saying. And I don't know if that was just the way they edited the reunion, but that's literally all we really got from Nick, outside of Jeremiah and outside of him and Olandria's connection. Then another thing, he made this troll video of going to the tattoo shop and getting Ace tatted on his back, trolling, right? So he's doing all of these things. I really think that, okay, I think that he's joking, but I also think that he's allowing the comments from social media to go to his head about Ace as well. And that could have played into why he switched up on Ace. Because that was the same reason why Helda switched up. Helda switched up was because she allowed her fans to get in her head. So I could see the same thing happening to Nick, especially if you're the type of person where you don't really know yourself like that. And so when it comes to the situation with Ace, I can see why he's upset. And then like you're using him to troll, but y'all not really in communication. Y'all not really talking with each other. I think Nick did allow those comments to go to his head a little bit. I do. I think just a little bit. And I think that's why he trolls the way that he does. He's condescending sometimes when you ask him certain questions and things like that. And so I do. I think he did allow those comments to go to his head. And maybe that's another reason why there's distance between Ace and Nick.
You go from here.
I mean, for me personally, like, you know, you pick and choose who you want to be friends with, and that's perfectly fine. You don't have to be friends with everybody.
You
So it's
want to
like,
be friends with Huda?
no, I just wish you well from a distance.
I
Like, I want the best for her, but it's just like me personally having a friendship, like, that trust is broken. Like, that's not something I can do. I wouldn't feel like I could trust her as my friend. So it's just like, you know.
Same question.
I love her to death, but that really was a turning point for me.
I wish you guys both well. I wish you the best. Like, I don't want either one of y'all receiving hate. And like Shelly said, not everybody's meant to be friends, and that's okay, but it doesn't mean I hate them.
Well, I agree that hate in any form is unacceptable, and I'm glad that we were able to have this conversation. And thank you guys for being so open about it.
Yeah, I heard about that too. I heard that he defended Olandria, but it was edited out as well.
Shelly, I want to talk about the.
So again, I feel like Ace is saying the same thing that Shelly and Olandria are saying about Helda. I think Ace is saying the same thing when it comes to Nick. So hold on, let me go back. So let me go back a little bit so you can put it back into context here.
The internet, which I don't respect. And I know you probably about to ask me about the whole Nick is not a part of that equation. It's just, again, certain things I don't rock with. I feel like if you're my friend behind closed doors, you're gonna be my friend in public.
Sure.
And again, we all have fun, we joke, we troll. I seen he did a whole tattoo thing, funny as hell. But when it comes to the serious shit regarding my character, that's the things I take serious.
And you feel like he didn't stand up for you and or silence narratives when he had the opportunity.
And I told him that. I told him, I said, yo, I feel like the answer that you gave was just mad PR, and I didn't respect it. And he was like, well, I'm pretty much over it. So I was like, okay, cool.
He said, I'm pretty much over it?
Yeah, I'm pretty much over the whole thing. Like, so like for me, this is my life, respectfully.
Right. It's not something for you to just be over when I'm receiving these narratives and it's then going to dictate what my future looks like. And he's just over it.
Yeah.
And that's crazy considering how Nick watched what Olandria went through with Helda. That's, man, listen, one thing about me, I'm never going to be delusional about men. I don't give a fuck how good somebody looks in a relationship. I'm never going to be delusional. That's just weird, y'all. Like, that's weird. Because when you are standing on integrity and principle, you're the same way no matter the situation. So you would stand 10 toes down with your woman Olandria, and you would stand 10 toes down with your friend with your friend Ace. That's what you would do because you're principled and you carry integrity.
With that being said, do you feel like Olandria and Nick's relationship is real? Is this you thinking, or is this your answer? I'm going to assume that that's your answer. Is that tough for you because Olandria is someone that you consider to be a close friend?
Yeah, it really is tough for me because, again, she just came out here for Shelly's birthday and we all spent a time together at the club and we all kicking and shit like that. So I have a lot of respect for Olandria. But again, from the last conversation that I've had with, Nick, it was a matter of it's not a romantic spark. They just, you know what I'm saying? They find each other attractive.
Which was in the villa, so he doesn't know their current status. So let's make that clear. But I feel like Ace feels indifferent. I feel like he doesn't know how to feel because he doesn't have the best experience with Nick considering the switch up that he experienced post Villa. So I feel like it's a tough situation. Like he has his personal feelings based off of his experience, but at the same time he has respect for Olandria. However, Ace, you owe Olandria an apology because this is going to bring on so much scrutiny. And to be honest, this is so bad that I don't even know if this can be repaired at all. And you may not have only just jeopardized the friendship that you have with Olandria, but you may have created some tension between Shelly and Olandria now because you decided to just be, like you could have just, this part could have been left out. What you said prior, it lines up with what you've been saying, but this part, it really did it. Like you really fucked up. Like I just gotta be honest. Like you fucked up. You should have handled this completely different. I understand how you feel. I'm not here to invalidate that. However, you're better than this, and that's just me being real. Like you're better than this, and you could have handled this better, in my opinion. And so you owe Olandria an apology and you owe Shelly an apology. I don't feel like you really owe Nick anything, but you owe Olandria an apology and you owe Shelly an apology because now you put them in a weird place publicly. You put them in a weird spot. And I already know, I haven't even gone to look, but I already know people are in the comments when it comes to Olandria. And I'm pretty sure people are now probably telling her, oh, don't fuck with Ace, get away from Ace, da, 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 da. I'm already seeing, oh, the jealousy this, jealousy that. And it's like, you could have handled this way better. You could have handled it way better than this. And I feel like this is where you fucked up. So Now she's going to get all of this scrutiny, all of this hate. Shelly is going to get more hate and more scrutiny. And it's going to be more about her being with you now because of what you just did in this interview. And you should have known better. Like, honestly, you should have known better. This is poor. Like, you need to fix this. Like, honestly, because now you have created a shitstorm. And this is a PR nightmare.
Nicolandria's relationship, you've expressed your, in silence, you've expressed your opinions on that. Do you think that the other relationships that have come from Love Island are real?
Yeah, Taylor and Clark. I know that's for sure real.
And the other ones, not so much, or? Do you think people are aware of the benefits to being in a relationship coming out of
100%. 100%. I feel like when people come out this villa and they see, you know, a certain community rocking behind, you know, certain shit.
It's me.
They're like, okay, let's take advantage.
Right. I don't care about these men like that, y'all. I care about my girls, honey. That's why we not about to go easy on Nick just because. Like, hell no. Men are going to be men. I keep trying to tell black women, it's you versus everybody. You always got to have your own back. You can't be naive. You always got to have your own back. I'm always going to tell you that. I love how Nick treats Olandria, but I'm not about to be naive about a man being a man. Because a man was being a man to Ace, and you see what happened, okay? So a man gonna be a man, and at the end of the day, you don't have no control over that man. A man could wake up one day and feel differently and move differently. That's just how they are. So because of that, I'm never gonna be delusional about no man. I don't care. I don't care how he portrayed himself. I don't care what he was doing in the beginning. So I'm gonna be on Nick's ass. Like, listen, if I see any switch up, I'm clocking that shit. Like, if I see any switch up, all right. You wanted to give Carrie her water. You wanted to open up her doors. You was doing this and you was doing that. You better keep all of this shit up too. You better not fall off in the slightest because people gonna be on your head with that. For real. Seriously. So no, for me, it's about the girls. It's not about Nick. It's not about Ace. It's not about all of this. It's really about the girls in the situation because I'm rooting for them. However, Ace, I just felt like you could have handled this better. This was just immature. It was poor. It was ego driven. It was emotionally driven. And I just felt like you could have did a better job with this interview. You left too much room for people to create a negative narrative to the point where it will impact Shelly and Olandria negatively. And you already know what they're going through publicly. So you just could have did a better job. That's my irritation.
Manage that type of thing. You know, it's just like, you know, you're gonna face yourself in a world of problems, i.e. breaking up, i.e. you know, arguments, i.e. now you gotta put on the front for the public like you rock with your partner still and you wanna go explore other people in real life, you know what I mean? So that's on them that they're gonna have to face at the end of the day, but I don't move like that, and that's why I was very intentional with my time in the villa because I knew, you know, obviously coming outside, people are gonna have opinions on relationships, so I'm gonna be very, very, very intentional behind finding this relationship.
Coming out of the villa now, you and Shelly seem to be in a very happy situation. Yeah. Is it safe to call that a relationship? Is that your girlfriend?
Not yet. But the thing is, when people was, you know, going back and forth of Ace is scared of commitment, he's too young, yada, yada, yada. First off, number one, I feel like the whole age conversation is silly as fuck to me because I feel like I've been through a lot of shit that not the average child is gonna go through. And it causes you to mature a little bit faster in this life. And respectfully, it's not other people's relationships, so they can mind their own damn business. And on top of that, as far as me asking her to be my girlfriend, I've never been pressed by no nigga, never been pressed by any woman in his life to do something I don't want to do. Unless we're talking about my time in this experience, you know what I mean? But
unless your conscience was
Unless my conscience, you know what I mean, was talking. But that's just been my MO, so I don't feel the need to have to come to whatever everybody else is saying to do. Yeah.
What now, Ace? What now? The Love Island experience, I'm sure, based on how it seems you went through this, you're ready for this chapter of your life to be over. It seems. But what now? What's next for Ace?
Honestly, what's next for me is putting God first, which I've always done throughout my whole entire life, so I can have an idea of what I want to do as far as acting, modeling, you know, working with certain brands, giving back to my community, and still keeping those same values I had before going on to the show. Whatever God has planned for me, that's what I want to do. And whatever my path aligns with him, then we're gonna do.
Beautiful. So, yeah. My last thing, and you can be honest, do you regret going on the show?
I don't think everyone is like intentionally trying to humiliate Olandria. I feel like it's carelessness, like not giving a fuck about how these things impact her. Like that's what it is for me. Like Helda, you didn't give a fuck about how that shit was impacting her. It's not about trying to go out of their way to humiliate her. It's the lack of care. You know, like it's the lack of consideration. That's what it is. And in this interview, when it comes to Ace, it's the lack of consideration. It's the lack of consideration with Helda. Why is there like a lack of consideration when it comes to Olandria? That's my issue. Like, listen, y'all feel how you feel, but consider her. It's like they don't give a fuck. It's like they don't consider her at all. They just, oh, let me say what I need to say. But you're not considering how this may impact her. Like, she's been going through the most. It's messed up to me. I that's why this is a shitstorm.
I don't regret my experience with Shelly. That's what I don't regret, is learning how to date someone outside of social media, ups and downs, things like that. I don't regret that portion of it. Everything else, 1,000%.
Is it, why?
Because for me, I wanted to go into this experience of, again, for me, throughout this whole entire experience, I didn't look at this as some type of show to go on. I look at this as a dating experience. And sometimes you forget while you're out in Fiji, it's a show. And they try and get you to get out that mindset of what's going on back home, what's going on in this thing, because at the end of the day, the chick has to be entertained. I didn't sign up for the entertainment portion of it. I signed up to get to know someone full through and through. And to come out this experience and see, again, that wasn't the main focus. It was mainly focused on drama, and I felt like that being in there. I said, like, why do I always feel like I'm amongst this drama shit? Like, I don't even care enough to be in this conversation. I don't even care enough to talk about someone else.
And see, like, this is why, like, a lot of people are like, it's jealousy. I'm not really seeing jealousy. I'm seeing, like, there are other emotions besides jealousy. And outside of the jealousy opinion, my opinion is he feels regretful, disappointed, and let down by people. Like, just let down by people. Irritable. He feels irritable too. Um, his shadow side is he can be arrogant, egotistical. You know, like I could go in on his shadow side, but when it comes to how he feels in this moment, I don't think it's jealousy. I feel like that's a lazy point of view. I feel like he's disappointed. I feel like he's let down. He had expectations, he had hopes, he had maybe even dreams, and it's like he went through this experience, came out on the other side, and it's been awful for him. Like he's gone through a lot to the point where he now has anxiety. He is shaking when he speaks because he's afraid to say how he really feels because he may face scrutiny later. So I get it. However, with me still getting it and understanding where he's coming from and his point of view, he just handled this poorly and he owes Olandria an apology. And I just feel like Olandria keeps getting like hit constantly by the public. Her castmates keep letting her down in interviews. It's just ridiculous. It's like, come on, you got to consider other people sometimes. And to be honest, I don't even feel like Ace considered Shelly or Olandria when he made these comments. So he was only considering himself and he was only considering his feelings, but he wasn't considering, okay, if I voice my feelings on this podcast, which are valid, because I'm not here to invalidate his feelings, how would it impact Shelly? How would it impact Olandria? You know, the queens, the women that I love and respect. Like, how will it affect them? Let me consider that for a sec before I just consider myself and only my feelings. You get what I'm saying? So I just felt like as a man, if you truly are going to be the protector, and I say this all the time, it's like, you know, men pride themselves off of being, oh, I'm a protector, but you don't even know how to protect women emotionally. You don't know how, it's not just a physical thing. You don't know how to protect them mentally because Ace, it was your job in this moment to protect them emotionally and mentally from more public scrutiny. That so protector is not just physical all the time. And one thing I noticed about these men, they only think about the physical. But now you done exposed Shelly to a lot. Like you didn't protect her in this moment and you should have. And you know, I don't expect for men to be perfect. I don't. I expect for them to be human. But I feel like as a man, the only way you can make this right is by coming on and correcting what was stated because now the scrutiny, and I don't even know if this can be fixed. Like I just gotta be honest with you. Now the scrutiny is now on Shelly and it's now on you and it's now on Olandria. And if you would have handled this a little bit more polished, like Shelly and Olandria, we wouldn't be here today. Like the shade room would not have been able to clip you and create that soundbite like that. And now there's this narrative that's going around where people are saying that this relationship is fake. I think he just does not know how to perceive Nick because he had an experience with Nick in the villa and then post villa it's just been different. So that's my opinion so far. But he need to apologize for sure.
But again, a lot of influence come to play, and when that's the case, I don't feel this is authentic to me, and I've been authentic since day one. Coming into there, I'm gonna be unapologetically me throughout this whole entire experience. And can't nobody in that villa who was actually there say Ace was faking it for this, Ace was faking it for that, because they know my character. I have no problems apologizing to people. I have no problem standing on business, admitting like, look, I was wrong about this, and this is how shit should go now. I have no problem speaking my mind. That's all I'm saying. I don't have no problem speaking on the real.
Well, I hope you apologize publicly to Olandria since you have no problem apologizing. I hope you do apologize to Olandria. I do. That's the only way he can make this right.
And it seems like America had a problem with that. You know, me just speaking on what it is. Fuck them. It's like when they asked me to come on this show, they knew everything that they were getting. They were getting a confident person who stands on business and expresses himself very clear and concise, and who's on here for the right reasons. Because you couldn't claim that I was on here for anything else. Looking at my portfolio,
right?
You can't. So being that that's the case, to see coming out that it was the complete opposite of my character, knowing that you asked me to be here, I feel some type of way. You know, especially when I'm the one helping with the chats. I'm the one getting everybody excited for challenges. I'm the one ringleading around this. You know what I mean? Like that hurts.
And what a lot of people are not picking up too is the flip side of this is that when Ace is speaking about his experience and how he was like the therapist, Olandria was. They have very similar experiences. Olandria was the therapist for the girls. Ace was the therapist for the guys. And at times, Shelly played the peacemaker in the home. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, Olandria and Ace, they have a very similar journey in this whole experience because they played similar roles just in different spaces. And so this is why I'm able to understand where Ace is coming from. I just don't agree with how he handled it. I feel like Olandria is handling herself very well, and Ace, you could have done a better job. And I understand where you're coming from because the way he's voicing how he feels based off of his experience, I'm pretty sure Olandria feels the same way. It's like, you brought me here, I was showing up like this and I was showing up like that and I was playing this role, and then you portrayed me to be something other than that. Like, that's not right. And now my character is under scrutiny. My reputation is under scrutiny. The same thing can be said for Olandria as well.
And I'm facing a little bit of anxiety every single day, trying to make sure my family is straight. Damn about me, making sure they're straight.
And then another thing too is we've been seeing Olandria struggle with anxiety. We've been seeing Olandria struggle with being out publicly. And now I at first I thought it was because she was shy. But now I'm starting to think that maybe it was because of the hate that she was getting. Because it would mess with your head to log into social media, you get all of this hate, and then off social media everyone is loving you. Like, that is weird. That's weird. So again, I feel like there's a lot of similarities between Olandria and Ace, and I see why he understands where Olandria comes from at times, but you didn't do her right though in this interview. You just didn't.
They get threats and emails at work and messages and shit that they don't deserve, that they didn't sign up for.
Right.
I signed up for this, knowing what possibly could be the outcome, and I was okay with it. Like, but it's still not to say I'm not a human. At the end of the day, like, certain shit will affect me, but that just adds to my testimony and who I am as a person. So I'm with all the growth throughout.
And then this is another thing too, is with me saying and giving this opinion and this assessment based off of what was posted. The only jump in this entire interview was around that Nicolandria conversation. And I just want to point that out. So I could have it wrong right now. I could literally have it wrong because of that jump. The internet can have it wrong because of that jump. But that was the only jump. That was the only cut in this entire interview. Everything else flowed. That was a jump cut, and I caught that. Okay, so and I find it interesting that that was the only jump, and the jump was right around like the 40-something mark, and it was right around them discussing Nicolandria. And again, I keep trying to tell y'all that Speedy don't really like Nicolandria. He doesn't. He made that clear. If you go to his TikTok and you look at his takes, he doesn't. So I wonder what was cut out. What was said at that jump mark? And if y'all go back, it's like around the 40-minute mark.
This experience.
I just want to let you know, like, objectively, I feel for you. And whenever you say an opinion, 50% of the world is going to disagree with you off the rip.
And I'm okay with that.
And so even after watching this, like, some people may still feel like, I still don't fuck with him.
Agreed.
And that's realistic to happen, but
that's life though, Speedy. To me, I can state my opinion. just let me be able to, or that's life. And I understand that, and I'm grateful that I'm here, and throughout this, right now, this interview with you, that the full thing is going to be told.
Sure.
That's all I ask for, is let the full picture be shown so people can understand where I'm coming from. If you disagree, completely understand. Right. Everybody has assholes, everybody has opinions. It is what it is, you know what I mean? So.
But you're just saying, if you're going to judge me, watch the full thing.
Right.
And if you still don't agree with me, then fine.
That's
at least
cool.
it was a fair observation, but at least give me a fair shake.
And I feel like I got my fair shake amongst full opinions, especially when narratives are still being pushed, you know, by my fellow islanders when they didn't have that energy when I was there. That's what hurts my feelings. But again, that's life, that's people. Clout is a motherfucker. And me, that's been my whole personality. I ain't never been an internet ass nigga, respectfully. Like, I've been a person who's does social media, but that's not my personality. And when you see me in real life, come holler at me. I've never been a person who's like on some ego shit. Like, everybody can say, whoever's met me, I ask them what their name is. Nice to meet you. Tell me about yourself. Like, we have real conversations on the pull-up if you want to. I've never been a person who's let, quote unquote, clout get to my head or let fame get to my head, because that's just not me. Like, the internet can love me tomorrow and hate me the very next day, and I'm walking testimony of that. I feel like my entire life before the villa, everybody just forgot everything that I've done. Go check my portfolio and what I've done. And that shit is for free, out the kindness of my heart, because I just love doing what I do. When that is just excused and saying Ace is a hater, Ace is this, Ace is a ringleader, Ace is a bitch, I would never fuck with Ace, and yada, 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 and I only got my own islanders backing me up, knowing that wasn't the case there, hurts my feelings. But again, it's back to real life. Excuse the Hollywood shit, and I'm gonna be me regardless, and I will for sure not let my fate be determined by someone else's hands.
And I feel like a lot of people you're gonna always feel mixedly about Ace, because he's not gonna be perfect, but he is gonna be himself, and there are gonna be things about him that you won't like. So I would rather a person I feel mixedly about. I would rather me feel mixedly about a person than for me to think that I'm all for this person, yada yada yada. Because I feel like that's fake, and I feel like somebody is playing a character when you have them all figured out. You will never have anyone all figured out, because people, if someone is truly being themselves, then they're not going to fit anything. So you're going to feel mixedly about them. One day you may like them, the next day you may not. Hell, when you're in a relationship with your partner, there are days that you like them and other days you can't stand their ass, or they did something you just don't like. When you are being authentic, like, you're not going to be liked in all cases, all situations, at all times. To me, that's not real. So I do understand where Ace is coming from. Again, he is voicing his experience. This is his first solo interview post Villa, post the reunion, and he's seen a lot. A lot of people have been speaking out and things like that. This is his first time speaking out solo. I feel like he owes Olandria an apology, because the scrutiny that she's going to now deal with because of the comments that he made, that to me were just careless and didn't really involve him considering how this may impact her. Same thing with Shelly. I feel like he owes her an apology as well, because he didn't consider how this would negatively impact her. I do think that there needs to be a conversation, whether that's done publicly or behind closed doors, between him and Nick, and he needs to just voice, how he feels. And Ace, you need to answer the phone, okay, and stop being in your ego and stop being immature, and meet in the middle and try to have a conversation. And you just need to be real with him. As Black people, when it comes to being friends with non-Black people, we expect more from you. We're going to expect more from you because we're Black and we have the Black experience. And I know you may not be able to understand, you may not be able to relate, you may not even be able to walk in our shoes. However, like, you got to understand how we're going to expect more from you because we're Black and we deal with racism. We deal with microaggression. We deal with a lot. We deal with public scrutiny just for being Black and having emotions and expressions and things like that. But we're Black. And so we're going to expect more of you. And I believe that that's his frustration with Nick. And then he doesn't really know how to read Nick, because he was one way in the villa and now he's different outside of the villa. And so you know how Ace is, like, he don't like that. He don't like that. He don't like wishy-washy people. He likes consistent people. So whether you like him or hate him, one thing about Ace, he's consistent. He was just dead ass wrong in this interview. And like I said, he owes Olandria an apology. It's very clear that he was hot-headed, he was ego-driven, and he was emotionally driven in this interview, and he did not consider the impact of Shelly and Olandria. So that's all that I have regarding this. Oh, no, no. Wait. I saw Olandria respond, but she didn't really respond. She just, it was like, I just hope that Olandria, before she makes any public statements, that she sits down and she watches this full interview and not go off the shade room and what the shade room posted, because I don't feel like that was a fair assessment about what was actually said in the interview. She just made a tweet saying that her event at her college went well. Tuskegee. Let's see. She had some type of event or something that went on. What I'm trying to find my. Oh, here it is. Did you see how Amaya was out here posting? So, of course, it's came out that Amaya and Brian are broken up. So she's saying here, imagine being broken up with just to come. So I just wonder. So she broke up with him. Imagine being broken up with just to come on TikTok a couple hours later, already in distraught to see that he's in Miami. Or did he break up with her? Distraught to see that he's in Miami 2 hours later doing the exact thing you told him hurts your feelings. I told y'all I never liked Brian. I told y'all he was a snake, and I stand by that. I stand by that. And I peeped how in the villa he chose Jaden. And I felt like a lot of people was overlooking that. I'm like, he chose Jaden. So not shocking. She officially made the announcement on her Instagram today that her and Brian are now no longer together. And she also stated some interesting things too. After leaving the villa, it became very clear that we were on two different journeys. Our visions didn't align, and relationships are supposed to be a team sport. You don't have to drink the whole sea to know it's salty. All love here. I do not condone any hate, spread of negativity / bullying. I truly wish him the best. Amaya Papaya. So what y'all think about that? See, and see, and this is the thing that I need Black women to stop overlooking. I get it. You want Nick and Olandria to work out, but we're not about to sit up here and be blind to how Nick be out here moving. Like, you hanging out with Brian. Brian is bad news. Brian been bad news. Brian been bad news since day one. Then this video of them hanging out on live stream in his hotel was it just was a bad look. So Nick, you need to mature. You got to grow up. And one thing that also stuck out to me was what Nick's mom said about him. She likes Nick for Olandria because it requires him to grow the fuck up and it requires him to mature. Y'all remember his mother said that? And with Sierra, she didn't require that of him. With Olandria, she does. And I said in my first assessment of Nick Olandria, I said this can work, but it's going to require growth on both ends. It's going to require Olandria to open up, to soften up, to allow a man to come in and really be there for her emotionally, physically, and financially. But then it's also going to require Nick to man up, mature, and to conduct himself and carry himself like a man for Olandria. Otherwise, this is not going to work. So that's my whole take on the situation. I do feel like it can work, but they need to grow. And Nick, you got to get around better company. And you got to stop being loose with your energy. And you got to stop thinking like you can be friendly with everybody. You can't be friendly with everybody. Mature people know that. Mature people understand that. You can be acquaintances. You can be cordial. You can be associates. But you being friendly and being friends with people loosely and just with everybody, that's not real. So I'm looking for Nick to mature even more. And that's the reason why Nick's dad liked Ace, was because he felt like Ace was a good influence for Nick because Ace was more mature than Nick. So I do want to see him mature a little bit. That's what I want to see. But do I think that Nick and Olandria's connection is real? Absolutely. I do. I believe that it's real. I believe that I'm a die on this hill. Even when it was delusional to believe in Nick and Olandria, I still believe in Nick and Olandria, regardless of Ace. I feel like Nick just needs to mature. And that's just me being real. I don't think that their connection is fake. I just think Nick needs to mature and he needs to consider who he's being friends with and the woman that he's in a relationship with, because she requires things of you that non-Black women will never require. And it's because she's a Black woman. So the same thing that the same thing that Ace was requiring of Nick, Olandria requires 5 times that, because she's a Black woman. So I hope he can handle it. And it is what it is. And that's my take. Thank you so much for watching. Please give the video a thumbs up. And I hope to catch you in my next one.
This is my opinion. I'm free to state my opinion anytime I like, right? Thank you.
I don't want you to feel like that, but yeah, feel like that.